Coffee's bitter, like the names on the screen. Faces flicker, but they never come clean. Every headline feels like one more scam. Whole damn system built on sleight of hand. We've been patient, boiling over, tired eyes, late nights, fighting sober. Every story points the same way. Every road sign says somebody pays. True Crime Cafe, we're seeking truth. Dagos want answers, we're coming for you. Crooked as hell and you laugh in our face. Darkness covered crimes, we light up this place. All we want is justice, that's the only ask. Dago in the cafe built for this task. Let's get to it. Shut it down fast. Shut it down fast. Backroom whispers, paper trails gone cold. Kids grow older, carrying what they're told. Questions piling like cups in the sink. Every dirty deed closer than you think. Dishonest and backwards, twist every word, but we've got the screenshots we've already heard. You can bury the proof, but you can't hide the past. We're knocking on doors, coming in late. Dagos want answers, we're coming for you. Crooked as hell and you laugh in our face. Darkness covered crimes, we light up this place. All we want is justice, that's the only ask. Dago in the cafe built for this task. Let's get to it. Coffee's bitter, like the names on the screen. Faces flicker, but they never come clean. Every headline feels like one more scam. Whole damn system built on sleight of hand. We've been patient, boiling over, tired eyes, late nights, fighting sober. Every story points the same way. Every road sign says somebody pays. True Crime Cafe, we're seeking truth. Dagos want answers, we're coming for you. Crooked as hell and you laugh in our face. Darkness covered crimes, we light up this place. All we want is justice, that's the only ask. Dago in the cafe built for this task. Let's get to it. Shut it down fast. Shut it down fast. Paper trails gone cold, kids grow older, carrying what they're told. Questions piling like cups in the sink. Every dirty deed closer than. Coffee's bitter, like the names on the screen. Faces flicker, but they never come clean. Every headline feels like one more scam. Whole damn system built on sleight of hand. We've been patient, boiling over, tired eyes, late nights fighting sober. Every story points the same way. Every road sign says somebody pays. True Crime Cafe, we're seeking truth. Day goes want answers, we're coming for you. Crooked as hell and you're laughing our face. Darkness covered crimes, we light up this place. All we want is justice, that's the only ask. They go in the cafe, built for this task. Let's get to it. Shut it down fast, shut it down fast, shut it down fast. Shut it down fast, yeah. Backroom whispers, paper trails gone cold. Kids grow older, carrying what they're told. Questions piling like cups in the sink. Every dirty deed closer than you think. Dishonest and backwards, twist every word. But we've got the screenshots we've already heard. You can bury the proof, but you can't hide the past. We're knocking on doors, coming in late. True Crime Cafe, we're seeking truth. Day goes want answers, we're coming for you. Crooked as hell and you're laughing our face. Darkness covered crimes, we light up this place. All we want is justice, that's the only ask. Dago and the cafe, built for this task. Yeah, yeah. True Crime Cafe, where they go to sauce balls, seeking the truth, finding the time, busting these cases, everything fine. Blue crew backs him, keeps him in line. Gotta find answers, gotta make time, solving the bullshit, praying for real. Big Daddy Meatball fighting for the next meal. True Crime Cafe, can you feel that grind? Digging in the dark for a twisted storyline. True justice hiding far out of view. He's hoping every night he can answer just a few. Camera on the counter, coffee going cold. Hours every day, chasing what he's told. Keeping it real, never read from a script. Just a man with the mic and a tight grip. Clicking through the files, faces on the wall. Names in the notebook, hearing every call. If the system sleeps, then he won't rest. Puts the weight on his chest, puts it all to the test. True Crime Cafe, can you feel that grind? Digging in the dark for a twisted storyline. True justice hiding far out of view. He's hoping every night he can answer just a few.
Alrighty then. Welcome back, everybody. Great to see you guys here at the cafe today. We are open for business. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Staying warm, staying safe. This weather has been treacherous for sure. We have an amazing show set up for you today. Finally, um, due to popular demand, of course, we have an amazing guest coming in with us today, Mr. Andrew Myers, guys, attorney Andrew D. Myers, I should say. I'm sorry. Very awesome stuff that he puts out on his channel, guys. Him and Yoli both do amazing jobs over there. Very much respect for them both. I've watched them forever, and I'm just grateful that they decided to join us today over here and have some discussion, breakdown, maybe answer some questions, all of that fun stuff, guys. I'm super excited for this. Kind of nervous, actually. Don't ask me why. I couldn't tell you, but thank you to my Blue Crew for joining us, my amazing moderators, all of you beautiful people for being here. Guys, we're going to run the intro like we do. I will bring Andrew in right after that, and we will get jumping. You guys know what happens next. Let's do this thing.
Neon lights flicker like broken halos. Whispers gather in the smoke-filled air. Tables carved with secrets and shadows. Every story's a wound laid bare. The kettle's boiling with restless rage. Justice written on an unseen page. I sip the silence, bitter taste, waiting for the ghosts to show their face. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. Mirrors cracked, reflections are liars. Ashes fall where the guilty once stood. The jukebox hums like a funeral choir. Echoes pounding through the neighborhood. Every scar is a candlelit vow. We hunt the how, we demand the now. No more silence, no more disguise. We'll paint the night with sharpened cry. At the True Crime Cafe, we serve up the pain they try to hide away. Pour another cup of the truth you crave. Raise your glass to the names they betrayed. This is not a sermon, it's a battlefield hymn, a requiem dripping from the bottle's rim. The guilty write stories in invisible ink, but we'll drag it all up from the edge of the brave. At the True Crime Cafe, the reckoning burns like a black bouquet. Every shadow will pay.
All right, all right. Welcome again, everybody. Wonderful to see you. I want to move this today. I don't want anything blocking Mr. Myers' space. That is not. There we go. Okay. All right. And welcome, sir. How are you today?
Hey, good to see you. I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful, even more so now that you're here with us today. I hope you can hear me okay.
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great. You
All right,
sound great.
good. Good.
Thank you first and foremost for taking time out of I'm sure your busy life to spend some time over here with us. We appreciate you so much.
No, it's an honor to be here. I watch you, and it's an honor that you invited me. So it's good to see you. It's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. An honor to have you here. We watch you. I think all of us watch you regularly. So we refer to your videos a lot. A lot of respect for what you do.
Thank you.
And
Yoli couldn't make it. We're both still practicing attorneys, unlike some people on here, which is fine. But we're both still practicing attorneys, and she wanted to make it, and she said to say hello, but she's just got a lot of stuff on her plate. Actually practicing law today. So
Absolutely. Always got to be first and foremost, of course.
Yeah,
we need you guys out there doing the good thing. 100%.
we try.
Absolutely. So again, thank you everybody for joining us today. We're being joined by Mr. Andrew Myers today, as always. I've been wanting to do this, sir, for over a year now, and I'm so busy. I've been doing a lot of different things and stuff, and then I finally was able to reach out to you, and thank the Lord you were able to reach back. So I really appreciate this so much.
No problem. So what's up? What do you want to talk about today?
Well, obviously the elephant in the room, the Idaho 4 case. We all know that. I've been watching some of the stuff you've been doing lately, and I do have a lot of questions people are asking, so on and so forth. And I really wanted to get in touch with. I've had the custody queens. They've joined us before, but I've always, and nothing against them, I love them too. But I've always had such a high respect for you. I've always wanted to kind of pick your brain and just see what especially recently. We've had a lot of stuff recently that has just come to the table and things like that, and I just kind of wanted to go there.
Well, I have a lot of questions. I don't know. You say you have a lot of questions. I don't know if I have the answers. I have a lot of questions too. I mean, Yoli and I have a ton of questions, and they're just not being answered. She and I, we don't always agree. We agree maybe 90% of the time, but we don't have the answers. I mean, ask away.
Of course. Just your thought, I guess, not answers, but questions, but like thoughts as to what we are all seeing here. Yeah. Especially most recently. Well, first and foremost, like what, if I can ask you, what was your interest that brought you to YouTube and with the Idaho 4 case, I should ask?
Oh, that's two questions.
Two questions. Yes, sir.
I was before I went to law school, I was a TV reporter and a radio reporter. My undergraduate degree is in mass communications from Emerson College in Boston. And I got out and I was in radio and TV for 10 years. I was a political reporter and a field reporter and a weekend anchor and producer. I finally just decided to go to law school, which is something that was in the back of my mind. So I practiced law for years and years and years, and I always had a hankering to get back into that business. But it's a crazy business. I kept in touch with some of my friends who are still on TV.
Okay.
And we would talk, and they would say, "You're so smart to get out of this business." And people that are on TV today told me that you're so smart to get out of this business. So anyhow, I finally decided to try podcasting. The first couple that I did were so terrible, I didn't even drop them. So I got an old friend of mine from Emerson to help me. And so I just started. I found Lainey Law, who was my first co-host, and she really helped me because I had no clue what to do. In terms of setting it up and everything like that. So that's the long story short. And I saw that there's a ton of competition out there for true crime podcasters. And so I said, you know what? I don't even want to compete with those people. I'm going to do civil law. So we did civil law, and Lainey and I and our interns would spend hours and hours and hours, creatively putting together episodes. And on a good episode, we'd be lucky to get 500 viewers.
Right. I gotcha. Understood. I think they're amazing, the stuff you do. So
we decided enough is enough. So we took the plunge. I've always been a true crime follower, always, going way back to the Charles Manson case.
Yes.
So and the Ted Bundy case and the all of those cases. And so we finally decided to, trudge out into the true crime area. And as I suspected, it's very competitive. It's very, very competitive. And there's a lot of good people. I'm not going to disparage anyone. So, we trudged into it. We only started doing this 3 years ago, and that's when the Koberger case was blowing up. And so we just fell into it. And, we were both fascinated with it. And, I mean, how can you not? How can you not? I don't know if your viewers follow the Karen Reed case, but those are the two big cases we followed all the way along.
We did. Yes, we definitely did.
Okay.
I wasn't as deep into Karen's case. I did the surface stuff, the basics. And then when she went back, we got a little bit more into it, but I was so busy with this and Delphi and a few other things I was doing, I didn't get to delve head first into it, but we know most of it. A lot of people in here, they did follow it. Yes. So okay. Really. And I, just a little bit about me real quick, just in case you wondered. I started in this 4 years ago, roughly. I started with, I think it was the Gabby Petito case and Summer Wells. And then I delved into Kylie Rodney's case. Of course, Idaho 4 came busting through, Delphi, a little bit, like I said, a Karen Reed, some smaller cases. None of them are irrelevant, but smaller versions of these cases. I did a lot of missing children and people for a while, and there's a lot of political stuff on the back end of that. So I kind of backed away from that a little bit. And like I said, I've been interested in true crime forever. Since I was a little boy, I was reading Encyclopedia Brown, little books and stuff like that. Nancy Drew Hardy Boys stuff, Unfortunately, when I was 12 years old, a friend of mine was murdered.
Oh my God.
Horribly. And the justice side of this kind of came into view as I got older, because the man that committed the crime, the main person, is still sitting on death row up to this year. And that was 40 some years ago.
Oh.
And it just blows my mind. So that was where the justice side of this came into view for me. I'm a retired firefighter medic, and I hurt myself, in turn, had to retire. So I got bored with life. I did everything you can do when you're sitting at home as a father, husband. That's all done. And I had to figure out something else to do. And I started messing around here. And here we are. So I love what I do. I love the people. I love being around people. I love talking to people. Obviously, I have a big mouth. I love talking.
Me too. I'm guilty of that too. Can I tell you how naive I was about podcasting? I just did it because, like I said to you before, I was a TV reporter, and I still had that bug in the back of my mind to get back into it someday. And that business is totally crazy. So I started doing this, and Laney Law helped me start setting it up. And you know how people will sometimes call us grifters and things like that?
Yes, of course.
We had been doing it for, I think it took us from March of whatever 3 years ago was until September. And we were doing it. And Laney Law says to me, you have enough subscribers to monetize. And I said, what's that? So when I first started doing this, I didn't even know you could make money doing it. I didn't even know that. People don't believe me, but if you ask Laney Law, she'll tell you that's true. So I didn't even know. So now we make a tiny little bit of money, not a lot. We don't sell products. We don't, do all those things. But so you get paid doing this. Not a lot, but what the hell? I'll take it. I'll monetize.
Definitely not a lot.
We do TikTok too. I know nothing at all about TikTok. I know nothing. But there's a person that I know who knows everything about it. And so what she does is she watches me, and she takes our episodes, and she knows how to chop them up and put them on TikTok. So I have a TikTok channel too. But I just fell into all this stuff.
We have a TikTok channel, and my videographer, she does a lot of the work for that. And then I have a Facebook page as well that I don't deal with either one of those. I have no knowledge of TikTok at all. It's
Me
like
too.
reading.
So we're the same. In that regard, we're the same. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about TikTok, but I do know young people that say they love my TikTok. They watch it all the time. So that's the thing. Right. I mean, I'm not gonna dig on you, but we're generally the same generation. I think I'm a little bit older than you. I don't know. I hope.
I just turned 51 this year, so
yeah, I got a few years on you, unfortunately. But so the thing is, we grew up with newspapers and books and libraries. Yes. But I had an intern in my office who was in her mid-20s. She never had a newspaper in her house growing up, ever. She never had a newspaper in her house. So
Wow.
that's the difference now. People
It's really,
don't-
really different. Yeah. I've even
Yeah.
had my mother, who's in her mid to late 70s now. Okay.
Mhm.
She called me one morning, not too long ago. Well, no, it's about a year ago now. I'm sorry. And she was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm watching the news. I only watch the local news, just so, and I'll
Yeah.
explain to you why here in a minute.
That's okay.
I only watch my local news, and I did used to up until about a year ago still read the newspaper." And I mentioned that. She goes, what do you mean?" She goes, "Your father and I don't even read the newspaper anymore. We just get on my tablet and we look." I said, "Mom, really? You're telling me that now it's too, sorry about that. Now that it's we're too far gone to read a newspaper?"
Yeah.
He said, "I don't know what to tell you, son." And that's where I learned it from, was watching them read the newspaper and watch the local news every morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I miss newspapers because, all the stores I used to stop in and grab the newspaper, they don't sell the newspapers anymore. I was really disappointed. The local stores I used to go to pick up the newspaper, they don't sell them anymore. So
Right.
one Sunday I ran over to the Barnes and Noble that's not that far from where I live. I walked all around the store. They don't sell them anymore at Barnes and Noble, the one that I go to. And I walked all around the store. Then I finally asked somebody that looked like they knew what they were doing. They said, "Oh, we don't sell newspapers anymore."
That's
And it's
wild.
like, and the other thing, Starbucks, there's a Starbucks right outside of my gym. So I would stop in there just before a workout and have a cup of coffee, get up my energy level, grab the paper. The Starbucks I used to go to, they don't sell the paper anymore. So, yeah, I can read it online. I know I'm a subscriber to the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald, but it's not the same. It's just,
No, things have changed so much. And
Yeah.
the reason I don't only watch the local news, I have a lot of issues with mainstream media nowadays, especially national news and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I'm sure you probably understand with what we do why. There's so much scripted news now. It's not so much the truth anymore. It's just what they give them to read, and then that's what we get, So you got to kind of dig, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
I watch them all. Being a media, my undergrad degree is in mass media from Emerson College, which teaches a bunch of different things, but that's one of their departments, at least it was then. So I do watch all the news. I watch them all, and I'll come in and have a conversation with somebody. I'll say, "I saw on TV this morning, but I don't know where I saw it because I switched back and forth. I can't stand ABC.
Yeah.
Anything but crap. That's all it stands for." I just can't stand
like
it. I mean, every night, I'm not going to mention his name, Muir. Every single night, breaking news, exclusive, ABC, and then he'll read some copy that came out over the wire at 10 o'clock that morning. I mean, every single night, it's like exclusive. You're only going to see it here now, and I've been hearing it on the radio all afternoon. And so they're all like that. It's this agenda-driven stuff, and politically, I don't do politics on my show, but I'm right down the middle. I've always been an independent, and I don't like having to go to this channel and hear the right side and go to that channel and hear the left. I hate it. There's no channel where you can just get objective news anymore. I hate it. I can't stand it. But so that's why I switch around. I watch the local news, but I try to watch the national news too. But yeah.
Understood. I mean, I will watch something if something big is going on. I'll catch a little bit of it here or there, but mostly I just I get a lot of it through here too, and people come to me with different things and that, and I go check it out, that. But I just stay away from it because it's so, I don't know, it's so negative all the time. Which of course that's society now and things like that. And then is that really what happened? Is this really what happened? So then I have to go research it and see what I can find, and then it's just part of the mindset now. It's crazy, but I respect what you do, though. I understand that totally.
I don't think that, and when I first heard this, I didn't believe it, but I do now. I think in 20 years, people won't watch any of what we consider mainstream media now. They'll be getting all of their news from TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. What am I leaving out? They're going to get everything. And it's like, there's so much competition amongst us that the stuff is going to get out there. The stuff is just going to get out there. It has to get out there.
And it's heading that direction, in my opinion. We've talked about that here before, that mainstream media is now this. And you notice a lot of the media shows that are on YouTube they're starting to start their own YouTube channels now.
Yeah.
A lot of the I guess you call them reporters from like News Nation and different channels and along crime and stuff, they're all doing their own thing now, and I'm guessing they're realizing this is where it's going to be. So it makes sense, you know.
One of the local TV stations here in Boston. I'm outside of Boston. I'm way out in the burbs, but at least one of the major TV stations in Boston just recently built a podcasting studio. And their reporters, like you just said, they have their own channels. And they also, if you watch the other legal people, they go on their channels. I've actually done it once that I collaborated with one local reporter. He's just too busy to get back to me anymore. But if you watch some of the other legal channels, and I'm not going to mention any names, they will talk to these TV reporters, and they're doing podcasts. It's not the local news station anymore. It's the local reporters going into the podcasting studio, or I know one who even does it from his home. But you're right. The big media has realized that people aren't watching them anymore, and that they've got to get into it or else they're out of it.
Yes, that's how I saw it too. 100%. Yes, sir. Well, it's great that we're doing this. I'm super grateful for this. So
absolutely.
I guess let's start in this aspect, because you did slightly mention it. What are your thoughts, I guess we can say, in the Idaho 4 situation with the WSU lawsuit? Do you have any thoughts or opinions or feelings on that thus far?
Oh my God. Yoli has been bugging me for weeks to do an episode on that. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if people are really interested in that. So I haven't looked at it as deeply as you have. I know that they just removed it to federal court.
Yes.
I know it's going to be a little bit. The federal courts don't allow cameras in the courtroom, so we're not going to have access to all the motion hearings and the pretrials. Right. So that's a little bit disappointing, I guess.
I agree. I agree.
I don't know why they're really hammering Washington State University. I guess Washington State University had some red flags, and they had a plan, but they didn't do anything. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts about it?
I mean, I have a couple, and I'm worried about one of them, and I hope that I'm wrong. I will say that. When it first came forward, when I saw what it was before it went to the federal level, I'll say this. And there, from my understanding, I see at least throughout these channels and the channels that I'm kind of like linked with too, there seems to be a lot of interest in it thus far, because I think everybody's thinking the same things. Now, what I thought, because it's a civil suit, that maybe they're doing this to try to pull more discovery to be able to get more answers in some senses, which is what I was hoping for. A lot of people have come to me saying, I think it's just a big money grab, so on and so forth. And I've said, I hope that's not what the case is. That would it would look bad. I would just say that much, in my opinion. And if they were to settle out of court and they settle for that, then that again makes me feel like, oh, that's not what I was hoping for. But if it is to be able to get, because my understanding is, and of course you can correct me, I'm sure, that in a civil suit, there is a lot more discovery to be relinquished in that situation, to be able to do. And one of my questions with this, I don't know if you would know this either, but I'm sure you probably do. When it goes to a federal level, does that give them the option to have even more discovery on a federal level than they would have had if it was stateside?
Well, the first question you brought up, yes, is the answer. In a civil suit, there's a lot more opportunity for discovery. In a criminal case, you're pretty much subject to automatic rules of discovery and Brady and Giglio and what the prosecutors have a duty and an obligation. Then, of course, you can file motions to compel. Courts don't always, as much of a requirement as it is to disclose, the courts don't really like all of these motions. So, yes, in civil law, there's a lot more discovery. There's a ton more discovery because we're allowed to do interrogatories, which are questions the other side has to sit down and answer under oath. We have an unlimited number of requests for production of documents. We do depositions. You always do depositions of all the parties and all the witnesses and all of that. Then there's another tool that a lot of, excuse me. See, it happened to you and now it's happening to me.
Whatever you got to do, take your time.
There's another tool that a lot of civil attorneys don't use, but I found the judges like it. It's called a Rule 36 request for admissions. You can narrow the issues by sending out written requests for admissions. Mr. Diego, isn't it true that that's a phony fireplace behind you? And you have to either admit it or deny it. And now that eliminates it as an issue at trial because we've nailed it down. So, yeah, you're right that there's a ton more opportunity. In the federal courts, there's a little bit more. They're a little bit more formal. Most of the states now have automatic discovery disclosures also. But the federal courts, the minute that you file a civil complaint, there's automatic discovery that must be made. They've got to disclose certain information. But then, yeah, you can do interrogatories and requests for production and depositions. And the federal courts generally tend to regulate it a little more seriously. And they tend to take motions to compel a little bit more seriously, at least in my experience. I don't know if that's everybody's experience, but yeah, people will dig more. But again, it's more disappointing because, I mean, in following the Koberger case, which I know you have, that's the one thing we have in common,
Right.
You know, where we learned a lot in that case because so much was kept secret and private and redacted and all the rest. We actually had those hearings. We had that day-long hearing as to whether or not there should be a change of venue.
Right.
We had all the motions to dismiss, the motions to suppress. And in federal court, we're not going to see that. So in a way, we'll see more in terms of discovery, what they want to share with us. But in another way, we're not going to see these hearings. We're at the whim of reporters who go there. Now, there's no reason why you can't go, but I'm not going to, I don't even know. Where are you? Where are you physically?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said that. I'm in Ohio, Northeast Ohio.
Okay. I knew that. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania next door.
Okay.
I'm up in New England now, but yeah. So, who the heck is going to have time to go all the way out to Spokane, Washington to go to these hearings?
Right. Exactly. I don't see, I mean, I can imagine there should be some people that we'll see there, but not too many, I wouldn't imagine, especially this time of year. It's going to be a little bit harder, but I'm not sure 100% if they even have, I don't think there is a date set for that as anything as far as yet, because of, we just got it kicked off. So interesting.
Well, there's going to be a long discovery period. I would guess, I don't know. The court will issue a tracking order or a calendar for the case. It's going to take at least a year. They give the parties time to do their discovery. So there's no trial coming up in the near future. I mean, I'd love to go. But who has the time to go all the way out there? That's ridiculous.
Now, did they get to choose their own jurisdiction for this, or is it just implemented by the government?
Personal jurisdiction is based on where the parties are, where the plaintiffs are, where the defendant is. So, wherever the plaintiffs were, they were in various different locations. So it's really determined in this case then by where the defendant is, which is Washington State. No, they couldn't have brought it in Ohio. They couldn't have brought it in Pennsylvania. They couldn't have brought it in.
Right.
There's a certain amount of forum shopping determining whether you're going to bring it in the state or the federal or what district. But I mean, you're limited to where one of the parties is, unless one of the parties consents. That's the exception to that. But I mean,
yeah, I wonder.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, I wondered at a state level, sure, I would imagine it would stay right within that, but I didn't know how it would work with it when it goes to a federal level, if that would change that up. I definitely didn't figure we would get lucky enough that it would come here. But I just thought, does it stay still in the state realm of where the parties or the plaintiffs would be, considering
pretty much?
Does it still?
Pretty much. There's a whole series of questions and answers with respect to personal jurisdiction.
Sure.
But unless one of the parties consent, you've got to be in a district where one of the parties is. And so, they chose. And I'm wondering, what I was going to say before is I'm wondering if the plaintiffs, the Gonsalveses and the others, I wonder if they were mad that the thing was removed from the state court and put into the federal court.
That's a good question. I was actually going to ask your thoughts on that as well, if it was something that they would have wanted or if they would have been more upset about because of how it would change things for them possibly. So yeah, I have that same question as well.
I wasn't on the inside. I'm not on the inside. I can only guess that, they selected the state court for a reason.
Yeah.
They thought they had better judges. I mean, we attorneys that have been doing it for any amount of time have the resources to either know or find out which courts are more amenable to which types of cases. And I would guess, and I don't know, that the Gonsalveses and the others felt more comfortable with the Washington state judges. And so I can't think that they were happy that it was removed to federal, but who knows? Now, I understand that the Washington, and I don't know, but I understand the Washington State Attorney General has now come in to defend Washington State University. So that's a big step.
I thought that as well. That should be quite interesting, in my opinion. Yes.
Who knows? But I haven't been following it as closely as you. Again, Yoli has been bothering me to do something on it. So I don't know.
I just try to keep up with what's fresh and what's coming around, because everybody asks me questions. What's this? What's that? What's going on? I don't know that much, but I'll try to see what I can do to figure it out. But yeah, interesting. Very interesting. Now, I know there's a big question that everybody has been asking me. I've seen it in other channels and other statements and different places, but and a lot of people I think are wondering, and again, I have no clue. You may not even know this either, that could this lawsuit, should it go forth as it, they want it to, could it affect anything that has to do with Brian Koberger's situation at this point with the case at all, being that he's in a position he's in? Do you think?
That's hard to say. I mean, the guy waived all of his rights to appeal. I mean,
right.
The women that you talked about just a minute ago, they just recently did an episode on what avenues of appeal there are, and it's limited. There's a lot of different post-judgment relief, but he's blown past most of it. So in discovery, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Brian Koberger was found to, stalk people and be mean to women, and here are 14 different examples, and they knew or should have known. That doesn't help him, does it?
Not at all. No. And that's what my thought was too. And I think a lot of people are thinking that if there's discovery release that maybe was not brought to the table before somehow, or something was found within the discovery, that Washington would say, hey, see, this doesn't, or their legal team, obviously, this doesn't pertain to this. This didn't affect him or me or us or whatever. You know what I mean by that? And maybe it would turn something and people would see something new there that could provide some new evidence as to what happened, and it could affect him, I think, is what a lot of people are wondering or asking in that aspect, I think.
Can I just point out, one of your commenters just said, and this is an anonymous mystic, what if he can prove Bethany withheld exculpatory evidence? Why is nobody making this a bigger? I've been making a big point about that ever since the Richard Batante affidavit. You don't watch my channel. I've been making a big deal about that ever since the Richard Batante affidavit. He was the investigator that was hired by the defense attorneys, and he wanted to sit down and talk to her. And he filed an affidavit in court saying Bethany may have exculpatory information. And even now, after the case is closed, supposedly, we don't know what that was. We don't know what the exculpatory information was. And she's kept away. She's kept as far away from Idaho as she possibly can. She didn't even go back for the sentencing hearing. She had somebody else. So that's a good point. But Dago, do you see anything coming out of the Washington State University lawsuit that would have anything to do with Bethany? Because Bethany is a student in Idaho.
I wouldn't imagine anything whatsoever. No. Not with her at all specifically, and I don't even think that there's anything that could come out of this, to answer I've had many emails asking me this. I don't think there's anything that come out of the Washington lawsuit at all that could change his case by any means, unless there's something somebody falls into that was buried or hidden or whatever. I don't know. That absolutely is absolute extreme evidence showing that somebody else did this or something. And if that were the case, somebody else would have noticed that, in my opinion, already. So no, I don't believe so.
There have always been these rumors, and that's all they are, because there's no basis in fact for any of them. But there have been all the, down in the tunnels, there was a rumor that Bethany and Koberger were dating or had some kind of a nefarious relationship. Yeah. And it's like, if that came out,
it would change things, sure, but I think we would have somehow figured that out already. At this 3 years, plus, with as much time as we've all spent on this, I know the time that I've spent, and other creators that we kind of work side by side with from time to time, and other channels, one of us would have figured something out and that had been put out there. I can't imagine how nobody else would know that. You know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense, because at the time, I believe he was a 27-year-old graduate student and kind of an awkward kind of a guy. She was a young 20-year-old, co-ed in college.
Yeah.
They would have had nothing in common.
No.
I can't see it. I don't know. And yeah, I'm only speculating, but I can't see it. But if something like that came out, I think I love your commenters. I love your commenters. They're really on the ball, and that was a good comment. I can't see it. I mean, so what if there was something nefarious even if there was something going on between the two of them, which I highly doubt. The only thing that would win him a new trial is if someone came out and said, yes, Mr. Myers was absolutely right 2 years ago when he said it was a drug hit, that they were dealing drugs out of that house. They flushed all the drugs down the toilet. They were mad. They wanted their money. And so it was a drug hit, and they framed Mr. Koberger. And if we could nail it down. Now, that was only my theory. That was only my theory. That was my speculation. And I said that then. Now, if something like that could be absolutely positively confirmed, sure, you get a new trial. But I think now I've gone down into the tunnels, and I apologize for doing it.
No, please don't apologize, because we do this day after day after day trying to figure out something, Now the new, I'm sure you've seen the new Hunter versus the United States situation, the SCOTUS thing that's going on right now, where they're trying to pass this law to, I can't explain it very well because I'm not that well versed on that type of stuff, but it's a new law they're working to try to put through to curtail or change over the I'm sorry, I have this mind. My ADHD is so bad that my mind just scrambles all the time.
I haven't seen that, actually.
The appeals. You said you haven't seen that?
No, I haven't seen that. I'm sorry. No.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's Hunter versus the U.S. It's something they're trying to put through to I'm trying to explain it, what I understand of it, to when people like with what Brian or the Delphi case and things like that with appeals, to make no appeals after a plea deal unconstitutional. Sorry about that. I was trying to
people always, your constitutional rights are always there, whether you've pled out or not. I mean, you still have constitutional right. I mean, if there's some earth-shattering new evidence that comes out, I mean, and again, the girls you were talking about before, they did an episode the other day where they had an expert in appeals, which I'm not. I've done some appellate work, actually, but I'm not an expert in it. And people always have a right. I mean, as much as people hate. And I'm in that category, Murdoch, Alexander Murdoch. I don't know if you followed that one, but what a horrible human being. And
yes,
to go on the stand and the first thing you say is, lad. I mean, what a despicable human being. But anyhow, when all the revelations came out about the court clerk, tampering with the jury and plagiarizing a book and going into the jury room and talking to the foreman, I guess she talked to the foreman in the bathroom. I mean, even Alex Murdoch, as repugnant as a human being, in my opinion, he is entitled to the constitutional rights to a fair trial. And so if the jury was indeed tampered with, I hate to say it, but I think he does have a right to a new trial. That's not right. You can't have a court clerk going in and tampering with the jury. I've been really lucky. I've tried a bunch of cases, and I've always felt that the court clerks were on both of our sides, my side and the opposing attorney, in trying to get a fair trial, a clean trial, a good transcript, so that when it's over, it's over. And that's what judges want too. No judge.
Yeah,
no judge wants to be overturned. I've known some judges, and they'll bend over backwards to be fair in most cases. So that was just a travesty. So I got onto that sidetrack only to say that, even Murdoch and even Suitcase Sarah down in Florida, even she's entitled to an appeal, even though he was a fantastic judge.
He was very patient, I don't even know how he did that. I couldn't have not sat on the bench it was anybody. I can't imagine how anybody could have covered Sarah's case the way she was with that. I mean, he had to have been the most patient person I've ever seen as far as a judge goes too,
Yeah, Judge Cranick, it seemed like at every opportunity he would ask Sarah, "Are you in line with what your attorneys just said? Are you in agreement with the questions that they just asked? Are you agreeing with your attorneys?" So how she can, I mean, I just said under the Constitution of the United States in Florida, which I'm not familiar with, she has every right in the world to an appeal. But that
Sure.
judge was the most fair,
Yes.
understanding judge that I've ever seen, I think.
He gave her more than I've seen any judge give anybody, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Everything she almost everything she requested. And at some point, when he finally kind of pulled back the reins a little bit, she had the audacity to be angry and upset. And I said, "You got to be kidding me. You were given years, and I mean years of options and opportunities and so on and so forth, and you're just nothing's good enough. You
What
did
did
what
you
you
want?
did."
Cookies or mints or something like that? I forget.
Yes, it was something like that. It was insane to me. I just sat there shaking my head. We covered her trial, and I said, "God bless him." Like, seriously, God bless him for being able to handle her the way he did. I couldn't imagine that. That's crazy. So
I only covered that one a little bit. I think that's when we were first making the switch over to from civil law, which nobody cared about, to criminal law. But
right,
we
right.
covered it a little bit. I think the actual trial, I think we covered a little bit. Like the closing arguments, I think we covered. I'm having a hard time remembering, but I mean, yeah, I mean, people that I only bring up those two cases because people are entitled to a
Of course.
constitutionally fair trial, and it's bedrock. It's what separates the United States from other countries. So if somebody's trying to limit that, I wish them the best. I mean, legislators do all kinds of crazy things. So
Yeah.
let them do whatever they want. Is the way
Agreed.
I look at it.
Well, with that statement being made, and I'm trying to put a lot of stuff into this period of time with us. So, and again, anything you're not comfortable answering, just deny it. It's no worry. What are your personal thoughts, if I can ask this, in regards to Judge Hippler and the way things were handled, his side of things with this case, if you don't mind?
I thought it was outrageous. The very first day he came out and he said, I wish I could say I'm happy to be here, but why start with a mystery? What a horrible way to start a case. If you don't like your job, Walmart's hiring. You could be they'd probably fire you as a greeter.
Yes.
I mean, I think I've been lucky. I'm a member of the bar in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and I think I've been lucky. I've had good judges. I've had judges that, were fair to both sides. They're not giving me any breaks, but as long as they're not giving the other guy any breaks, I'm happy.
It was unbelievable to me. Never seen that before. I'm sorry. I said it was unbelievable to me. I've never seen it before. And 9 out of 10 times when they would hand the camera to him, he's doing this and he's doing this and I'm like, who are you? I've never seen that before, ever.
He just had the demeanor of somebody that would rather be somewhere else. And I kept thinking to myself, well, go there. You've got a good job. You're a judge. You're going to be there forever. I think, I don't know if they have mandatory 70 retirement like they have in my 2 states, but he's never going to see a medical bill in his life. That's how good of insurance they have. He's never going to see a dental bill in his life. So if you don't want to be there, go. Let a judge who cares. Let a Judge Cranick come in. And just the way, I may have agreed with some of his actual rulings, but he didn't cut Ann Taylor a break at all. He didn't cut her a break at all.
No, he stomped on her as much as he could.
Yeah.
In my opinion, of course, from what I saw, and it was very hard to watch the hearings. I was on this side of things yelling and screaming at my monitors, like, what is going on here? And it was so horrible to watch her because I have a lot of respect for Ann Taylor. To watch her try to do what she was doing, and thank God. I loved Eliza Massive. She didn't seem to have any kind of intimidation factor with him whatsoever. And he would talk at her. She'd talk right back. There was no, he couldn't shut her down, in my opinion. But Anne, I felt so bad for her the whole time. He did not extend even just a slight bit of rope for her to be able to get anything with. And it was like, in my opinion, like he was doing it on purpose. It was almost like the man was working with the prosecution. It was insane to see it. I've never
I agree. Yeah, I think he tipped his hand. Just the way he questioned Ann Taylor and Eliza Massoth, just the way he questioned them. I think in the very first hearing that he had, the same one where he said he wished he could say he was happy to be there, but why start with mysteries? I think in that same hearing, he pointed out that Eliza was the only attorney who had been in his courtroom before.
Mhm.
All the others were new to him, both on the prosecution side, but on the defense side. So maybe she was able to get a little bit more latitude that way. But it shouldn't be that way.
No.
It should not be that way. When you go to court, you should get a fair trial. I've traveled, I've driven 2-3 hours and been in a court where, oh, Mr. Myers, I haven't seen you here, but it's good to see you. I mean, I've had judges do that. They bend over backwards to give you a fair shake when you're outside of your local territory. And I don't know, just the way he just dismissed all of the motions in limine and the motions to suppress and all the rest, just the way he
Yeah.
dismissed them all.
Everything, the alternate suspects, and the statement he made when she presented that, and he throws the car into this. And I said, what are you doing? As a judge, that's not your place. That's not, in my opinion, that's
Right.
not his job. You shouldn't have never said. There's a lot of statements he made that as a judge, I would never imagine a judge making. And it really bothered me. And the more he did this, the more he shut them down and overtalked them and rudely, interacted with them. It's like, what is going on here? Something's
Yeah, I
just
said
not
the
right.
same thing. I forget which hearing it was. But there was a hearing at some point where he was really hammering Ann Taylor. And I said, we were covering it. I said to Lainey, she was my co-host at the time, I said, he has stepped off the bench and he's assumed the role of the prosecution doing the
Yeah.
cross-examination. That's not a judge's role.
No.
That's not your role. Sure, a judge can ask questions. I've been asked questions by a judge. Attorney Myers, you really mean that? I mean, sure. But he actually was taking the position of the other side. And it was unseemly. It was unseemly. I was disappointed that, like many, many, many other people, this isn't anything new, but I was disappointed it didn't go to trial. I mean, you go to trial and roll the dice. I mean, juries do all kinds of crazy things. You've seen that. I've seen that. So
Absolutely.
why not go to trial? You've got a chance of getting a not guilty. And if you're guilty, you can appeal. So
Yeah, it was. Those are the reasons why I think, Andrew, that the plea deal was taken, in my opinion, is because he was not allowing any leniency of nothing, in my opinion. And I think that they felt cornered, and Ann probably felt like, that's it. We're at a wall now. I can't go any further with this. I'm sorry. This is the best bet, and her job is to save his life at that point, have the death penalty removed, and go from there, hoping. And I still feel, and I've always felt this way from the day of the sentencing hearing and forward, that there just may, and a lot of people disagree with me, and I respect that, that there may be something else still going on in the background. Because from what I saw, what I believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's okay. It's just how I see it, that there was a lot of what I would consider prosecutorial misconduct, judicial misconduct in some aspect, if you look at it from that form. And that I believe that there might still be something going on in the background that they could be working on, trying to get him to a certain point. Maybe, I don't know, but a lot of people are like, there's nothing left. There's nothing there. There's nothing. Just forget it. Get off. A lot of people are from times to time, but that's my thought.
Hey, I kind of agree with you, but on the other hand, I really think he should have gone for the trial. If Hitler is such a horrible judge, he would have made mistakes in his rulings, and that's where the grounds for appeal are.
Sure.
And so I think he should have tried the case. I think, there's all these rumors out there that, he took the plea because the real killers told him that if you expose all this, we're going to go after your family.
Yeah.
I would have gone for the trial, because again, you never know what a jury is going to do. And if Hitler had made bad rulings, if Hitler had, screwed up the rulings, as many of us think he screwed up some of the decisions earlier on in the case,
Right.
You've got grounds for appeal. One of the other things I guess I'll just say raised my eyebrows was in the very beginning, in that very first hearing, when the case first went down to Boise, was that Hitler kind of indicated, don't automatically assume everything is going to be redacted and secreted. We're going to have more openness here. And then he went the opposite direction. Yes,
that was kind of secrecy.
There was
more. Makes you wonder why that happened. Like, was there something that took place that, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but was there something that took place that made him do a quick change on that to all of a sudden start to feel everything? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had exactly the same thought. So great minds think alike. There's got to be some really horrible stuff in there, and we're seeing some of it now. We're seeing some of it now with the photographs that you went through. And I have to admit, I watched you a lot. I'm sitting here in my office trying to get some work done. When the clients aren't here, I'm trying to, work on papers and, review Discovery, and
Of
I'm
course.
writing stuff. You disappeared.
Oh,
But
I'm here still. I'm sorry.
okay, so I'm working but I had you on the background twice. Once when I think this goes back to September, but I don't exactly remember. Remember when the Moscow police reports came out, and there were
Yeah.
thousands, and you were reading them. So I had you on my laptop up with my file cabinet. So I'm sitting here working, watching you in the background. And then I did the same thing when those 2,700 photographs just came out, about 10 days ago. I did, because you're going through them, and some of them were just nothing. But then when there was a big one, I would write down number 2734, and I would go home that night and look at it. So you were my cheat sheet.
Well, I appreciate you watching. I really, really do. Yeah, those were, I think those photographs coming out I'll say it. I can't say it for sure, but I've seen some people's changes possibly and thought processes maybe after seeing these where, well, we know that Howard Blum did it himself. They're stepping back forward and saying, well, maybe he didn't. A lot of them are still saying, oh, Brian did it, but he didn't do it by himself. I don't think so now, so on and so forth. My take on it is completely different. Everything I've seen, they've never showed me any proof to me personally that Brian has any attachment to this. They in fact have said that he doesn't in some senses, but I think that seeing the crime scene photographs in some senses are showing that this doesn't seem to be the possibility of one person doing this, and I think people are starting to see it that way. I wish more people would see the other things, the red flags that we've all been seeing that are saying, hey, this shouldn't be here, that shouldn't be here, that shouldn't be that way, that shouldn't be that way. But they're ignoring it. It's all, tunnel vision in that sense. It's wild. So
a long time ago, I did an episode, and I forget how many red flags I said there were, but I said, here are all the reasons this could not have been done by one person. I said, there's so many reasons. And the first one is obviously the timeline, that compressed timeline. And now I forget the specifics, something like 2 o'clock to 2:18. But then you have to account for time that it would take to come down out of the car and go into the place, and the time to come out of the. So he really, by my estimation, whoever did it would have only had 7 or 8 minutes. How do you even do all of that? The stuff that he is alleged to have done in 7 or 8 minutes, there's absolutely positively no way. And I said that a long time ago.
Yes.
I did an episode and collaborated with someone else. And I think it was Lucky. And there was another person I collaborated with, but they agreed that there's just no way one person did all that, whether it was Koberger or someone else. It's just, and then for the photographs to come out and you see, see the blood and the, just all the
and the photographs contradict a lot of what they have put into their documents. For instance, the Maddie and Kaylee in their bed is where they were attacked, so on and so forth. So then we go down through these photographs, and you're looking at the pathology results and this and that, and there's blood here and blood there. There's blood on the table and blood on the half wall. Well, if she's in her bed, how does this end up over here? Things like that, and that's what has everybody questioning these things. And there's a lot of people there's a lot of very smart people in these communities that just don't bounce past those things. That they can't just bounce past those things. So we look at them and we talk about them. And why are they telling you this when it's showing this? You know what I mean? And it's just been so odd to me the whole time.
And one of the main things is, they lied about the cell towers. They made a big deal trying to claim that he pinged the cell towers. Well, so what? I pinged cell towers going to the grocery store, and there have been crimes committed in houses between where I live and the grocery store. So am I a suspect just because I pinged those cell towers? No, because a lot of people, and I've talked to people in that area. I'm not from that area, obviously, but I've talked to people from that area that say that, Washington is kind of boring. There's not a lot over there. The Walmart over in Idaho is open 24/7. There's a lot of little boutiques. There's that restaurant that serves vegan food. So if he went over there all the time, of course he pinged the tower. So that was a pile of hooey. And then the thing about stalking, I forget which page of the PCA it is, but on one of the pages of the PCA, they say, we looked into whether or not there was stalking. Then they kind of just fizzle out and they never resolve it. Now in legal writing, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion, you raise the issue, You look at the facts, you analyze the facts, and then you conclude it. They didn't do that. They just kind of threw up the word stalking, and then many months later, there was no stalking. So
right. And now you still have other people they're stuck to this the stalking. Okay, well, you can't stalk somebody at 45 miles an hour driving by. That's exactly what he was doing. Okay,
I never have.
right, and we know that at this point, but there's still people running with it. There's still people, and these are reporters, and I still feel like there should be accountability that, he cleaned his car with bleach. No, he didn't. He threw his trash in the neighbor's garbage can. No, he didn't. None of these things that were put out initially in the beginning that they used as propaganda, in my opinion, to make the court of public opinion be able to convict this man early on and all the way through it, have been retracted at this point. And they're still allowing people to say this, even though the prosecutor himself, the lead detectives have all come out and said none of that is true, but they're still running with it to keep that narrative going forward, no matter what anybody wants to say. And it drives me insane. It's just
they've never, ever connected Koberger to any of the four girls. There's never been a motive. Now, as an attorney, a motive is not an element of murder.
Sure.
I agree with that. But from the very first murder trial I ever covered as a reporter many decades ago, more decades than I want to admit, the attorneys will tell you, you've got to give the jury a motive. You got to tell them why. You got to tell them what motivated this person to deviate from his normal routine and commit this act. And there was none. And they admitted it. They absolutely outright admitted it, even in that press conference that they had the day of the final pleas. They were all standing out there. No, we could never connect them, and there was no motive. And it's just, there's just too many things like that. There were just too many things that just didn't fit together. So,
right, and they never have been able to make that happen. I don't think they ever will. We all heard in the very beginning, just wait till we get to the trial. There's so much more proof and so much more evidence and so much.
Hooey.
Where?
It's all hooey. Now, I was going to, they tell you, I don't know if you've ever worked with these YouTube advisors or whatever they call themselves, and they say, instead of doing these timely things that have a short shelf life, like you do a good job, you cover, the news of the day, then you move on. Well, I do the same thing, and those episodes have a short shelf life. So they tell us to do evergreen material. Do evergreen material that's going to be good for a long time. So my idea that I've been talking to Yoli about is I want to do an evergreen episode looking backwards, or what are the top 10 red flags in the Idaho 4 case. And I'm just going to read you the first 5, and then you can give me your ideas. My top 5 are frozen shock face. First of all, there's no such thing.
Right.
If you look at the DSM-5 manual, there's no such thing. That's number 1. Number 2, how could she have shock phase if she was texting and taking pictures and editing video? Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the latent footprint. Come on, give me a break. Number 3, the timeline. We already talked about that. Number 4, tearing the house down. What?
Yes, I know.
And my fifth red flag for my evergreen episode is the one person theory, that one person could have done it all. So those are my top 5. I'm going to do 5 more. Yoli has given me some ideas, but I don't know. Do you have any ideas for the additional 5?
There's so many things that those are the first 5 are absolutely amazing. I'll say one thing is follow-up. There's zero follow-up in any of the interviews. I don't know if you've watched any of those. Any of the interviews that they have, the interviews are like, it's almost like they're sitting down having a conversation with a 5-year-old child. And there's no follow-up questions to any of the statements that are made within any of the interviews, Andrew. None of them. Somebody will say something, especially Dylan and Bethany's interviews. Those are horrifying to me because they'll say something and you'll expect immediately. I mean, I have a active duty New York PD, NYPD, a police officer that he's in here now. I have a retired Baltimore City police officer. They went insane watching these things. They're like, where are the follow-up questions for this? Okay. There's none. They'll let this statement be made and then they roll on to the next question and nobody says a word. You're not questioning these people in the aspect that they witnessed or were involved or surrounded by a crime whatsoever. You're talking to them like they were walking down the street and you saw them and waved. It's so blatantly ridiculous. And they're all like that. So
Well,
zero follow-up questions in the investigation, in my opinion, makes this become such a garbage investigation, for lack of better terms, in my opinion.
well, you're a New York guy, you know, NYPD, that's the number one, you know, that they're professionals. They've been doing it for a million years. They've dealt with all kinds of stuff like Son of Sam and 9/11. And I mean, and Baltimore, I grew up just north of Baltimore up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The Orioles were our number one team. The Phillies were our number two team.
Right.
That's a big department. Baltimore, the big, you don't get into the Baltimore Police Department unless you've probably worked somewhere else and gotten a lot of, so you can't compare Baltimore and New York City.
Sure.
You know,
Gotcha.
I've said this before, and my viewers will remember me saying this. I mean, I lived in a college town for a while, a small college town for a while, and the cops there were used to breaking up fights and telling the kids to go home when the bar was closed, and you know, turn your stereo down. And that's what the cops in a little college town like Moscow are used to. This was way overhead. Now they did the right thing in calling ISP in and getting the FBI involved, but this was way over their heads. And you know, no, I really don't want to disparage Brett Payne, who no longer works for the police department, or any of the others, but you know, this was out of their league. This is like putting the New York Yankees against your little small town baseball team. It's just,
Right. Yeah.
It's not a fair. It's not the little league team is not geared up to go against the Yankees. It's just
absolutely
not.
no.
It's sad. True.
Yes, I can agree with that too. 1 minute here. I just lost myself here.
Oh, I hear you.
Where am I at here? Sorry about that.
I hear you and I see you. But I know what you mean. StreamYard does funny things.
It just did. It just disappeared on me. I know it's in here. I just have to find the right.
My StreamYard does this thing where I'll be in the middle of an episode and all of a sudden it'll shrink up to the top of the screen and make a little postage stamp size screen. It's
right. There it is. Good Lord. Here we are. Okay.
It does crazy things, and it's driving me crazy, but I don't think there's anything else besides StreamYard. Laney used this program called OCD. I think, no, it was OBS. Oh,
yeah. I hate that one. It's so hard.
But she's an engineering student, so she knows. And I was almost in tears one day. A local state rep had come into my office for an interview, and I'm struggling with OBS in my intern.
Right.
I'm almost in tears because the state rep had taken time out of his day to come into my office, and I was going to interview him, and the screen was just like, and that's when I gave up on OBS. I gave up and so I discovered StreamYard. I just don't know what other alternatives there are.
There's a couple. I've done the same thing. There's a couple, but StreamYard is probably the easiest because, again, I have my tech level of understanding is very small. Okay, I'm learning more as we go. 4 years into this, but it's taken 4 years to get to this understanding level, so it's crazy.
Well, I have a basic. Back in the day, I had a first-class FCC license. I could actually take a transmitter apart and put it back together again. But my experience in television was 3/4-inch tapes. Now, those are history. Those are like they're in the museum with the dinosaurs. So, you know,
sure.
I'm relearning it all now.
Oh, I used to be able to build a computer out of pieces and parts back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Not anymore. They've changed it so much. I had to literally have one of the community members here help me over the phone, take 8 hours to put this thing together when I got a new one. And it's like, things are so crazy nowadays, but hey.
Are you old enough to remember Heathkit? My father was an electrical engineer, and so we would get Heathkits, and I built a guitar. I built guitar amplifiers with Heathkit.
I remember having something like that. I don't know if that's what it was called, but yes, it was. I think I built a transistor radio one time. Yeah, I remember
the box.
Yeah,
you get a box, and it'd be a bag of transistors and a bag of resistors.
Yeah,
and a bag of there'd be a couple of rheostats.
It was. Those were fun. I remember those days. Yeah,
they were fun. But I mean, everything has changed. Everything has totally changed.
So much different. Yes.
You can't do that stuff anymore. No.
So I do have some questions from the communities here. If you don't mind, I've been trying to work out there's so many of them. I'm trying to sort them out, and
Before you shoot, go ahead. Do you remember Tommy Jude?
Oh God, yes. Me and Tommy were pretty close. Yeah.
Tommy the poor guy passed.
I know. It's
Tommy
very sad.
Had me on a couple of times, and we would call it Stump Attorney Myers, and they did.
Well, with this case, I'm sure it'd be. I mean, nobody has answers to this.
No.
It just doesn't make enough sense to have answers,
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll try to stump Attorney Myers, guys. But I don't want
Not
anybody
too
to get
hard.
upset. Yes, with this case, I don't think anybody could answer these questions, to be honest with you. But again, don't be upset if I don't get to your question, guys, because there's so many of them. I'm so sorry if I don't, and I really, really wish I could, but I don't want to. He's an attorney, folks, and he's very busy, and he's gracefully given us some of his time. So we have to go easy on this, gentlemen, please and thank you.
All right.
I guess let me ask this one. What do you think of Dylan's timeline based on what we've been given? What are your thoughts on that?
What do you mean Dylan's timeline?
That's how the question is listed as Dylan's timeline.
Do you mean the car was seen arriving at or around 4:00, and then it was seen leaving at about 4:20? That timeline? Well, I already addressed that.
So.
There's no way. No, there's no way. It didn't happen that way. It couldn't have.
Gotcha.
One person couldn't have gotten there. And first of all, they don't have the cars matched, right?
No, definitely not now. Yes. Yeah. Now
Second of all, one person could not have done all of that in that time. There's no way. Third of all, they have that car screeching around, but that was a big night. It had just been the homecoming football game in a college town. I know, because I lived in a college town for a while. The kids are all up all night doing whatever they're doing. I'm not casting aspersions on them, because I was a kid once too, but they don't have that car speeding away definitely as his. They don't have the license plate. They don't have him. So no.
And now they don't even have what I'm seeing over the past couple of weeks is that the right car. We got fog lights. We have no fog lights.
Right.
Tinted windows, no tinted windows, two doors, four doors. This is so confusing anymore. And it's obviously not Brian's car. So at that point, what are we doing over here, guys? What are you guys doing? It's kind of wild. So have you heard anything of any of the audio or anything that's been released? And they're asking, what are your thoughts as far as the 2 to 3 a.m. timeline as compared to the 4 to 4:20 timeline? Do you think that there's a difference if you've heard any audio?
Well, yeah, I did hear the audio. You mean the audio from the Ring camera next door where you hear the screams?
Yes, thank you. And I'm just to let you know, I'm going to turn my camera off just for a minute, but I'm still here. I have something going on in the background I don't want to put out there.
Yeah, who knows? All. And then also you have Ethan's mother saying 2:00 will never be the same to us. 2:00 is a big hour.
Right.
So
yes.
Why did she say that? Why did she say that? She had to have had a reason to say that. So it's hard to say.
I think with that statement there being made too, there's a lot of people that have referred to this, and there's so many smart people within these communities, Andrew. It's amazing. I'm very proud to be part of these communities because they do know a lot and they see a lot. There was a statement made that Mrs. Chapin herself had been given information early on in this because of her, being closer to Othram and things like that at this point, that she was given information maybe that other family members weren't. And I question that. Is that true? Is that a rumor again? Because there's so many rumors. Or could that be why that 2 a.m. statement was made possibly? I don't know. But
none of us know. But I mean, there's just so many questions about this. And no, I can't buy the 4:00 to 4:20 timeline. It fits and it's nice. But I don't think that the evidence would have supported it. I mean, Bill Thompson, in the change of plea hearing, said that we think we can show that he came down from that parking spot in the road behind, and we think we can show he entered through the slider. They thought that they could show that, but where's the evidence?
Right. No, right. Exactly.
The other thing that never made any sense to me, and I was still on that timeline issue, the thing that didn't make any sense to me was here was a house with a bunch of college kids, 20, 21 years old, a whole bunch of college kids. And there wasn't any Siri or Alexa or refrigerator or TV footage at all. I mean, most people that I know, not me, my refrigerator doesn't talk to me, but almost everybody that I know has Siri or Alexa or a TV that takes their pictures or all these kind. And so that didn't make any sense to me, that not a one smart device in the house recorded anything. That made no sense to me.
That's interesting. You know what? I've never even thought of the Alexa thing because I know that mine, quick story for you. I was sitting in my home. I'm a late person. I stay up late. My wife works at 3 a.m. She goes to bed early. Everybody in my house goes to bed early, but me. And I was sitting on my couch at 3 o'clock in the morning watching. I'm a big horror movie fan and I love those. So I'm watching this horror movie and my Alexa in my kitchen starts talking to me in a weird voice. And I'm going, I start freaking out and I'm like, what is going on? So I got up and walked in the kitchen and it's making these weird voices and creepy sounds. And I'm like, what the hell? And my wife thinks that it heard something from my TV because I'm kind of slightly deaf in one ear because I'm a musician and I blew my eardrums out years ago. So
what do you play? What do you play?
I'm a drummer.
Okay. I played bass guitar in a band for a while and I had 2 big speaker cabinets that were taller than me and I was in front. By all rights, I should be deaf by now.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, absolutely. I play bass a little bit too, but mostly drum. There's a lot of us out here that are musicians too.
Yeah.
I found out it's wild. But yeah, and I had my TV turned up probably a little louder than I should have, and she thinks that it picked up something on Alexa, and Alexa was replying to that somehow, and I was like, okay.
Oh,
it still weirded me out. It was one of the strangest things because the voice changed on Alexa, and it was repeating strange things, and I'm like, I was about to run out of my front door and never come back. I'll tell you that much. So,
that's my point is that a lot of young people have all of these devices. They've got the Siris, they've got the Alexas, they've got, smartphones that are always listening to them and talking back to them. I had an intern one time. She was always talking to her phone and her phone was always talking back to her. I mean, if we were having a discussion, like for example, right now, the big topic where I live is this huge nor'easter going to hit us this weekend? She would be talking to her phone the whole time. What's happening with that storm? Which models have it coming and hitting us? And so that young people, 20, 21 years old, didn't have some kind of a device that recorded all of this. That made no sense to me. That it just, I'll go one step further and say, I don't believe it. I think there's a lot of things I don't believe.
I agree with you on that one too. I was going to actually say that, that I don't believe that those things aren't there. I think there's a lot of things that have been, well, for instance, most everybody in the household used Apple products from my understanding. Okay. I'm almost positive that Kaylee herself had an Apple Watch. And I'm going to venture to say that maybe a few of the other victims could have had the same things. And where is all that stuff? And where, like, those items record a lot of different things, like you were saying. Like, there's steps that can be recorded. Your position inside of a household can be recorded. All these types of things. Where's all that information at? Okay. And then like somebody mentioned also one who is the NYPD police officer. I believe he mentioned here in the chat too. He had mentioned it to me before. The router logs, okay, from the router from within the house. Where's that information at? Because I've never seen that, and I think that probably could tell a story if it's made available. Is it not being made available on purpose again, or is it something that doesn't? Is it not important? Do they think? I
don't know. That's another one. Can I ask you a question?
Please. I don't have a good answer, but I'll definitely try.
I may or may not have made a mistake last week. I was going over all of those photographs, the ones that were released by the Idaho State Police, and then they snapped them back right away. I don't know if they've been re-released, but
not yet.
Way back in the 1100s, around 1120, 1123, up in there, there was a picture that we thought was a smiley in blood on the floor.
It is. I watched you and Yoli cover that, where you were both looking at that, a few, like, pretty hardcore, and I did the same thing. That's wild to me, the way it looks, but what I come to the conclusion of is I got zoomed in as close as I can to that.
Yeah.
2 parts of that are curly fries, okay? And they're 3-dimensional. It took me a while to figure that out. But there's also at the top of that where it looks almost like eyes or horns or something.
Yes.
Those are blood smears. I do agree with that, but then there's what I guess would be like a nose and the mouth are actually curly fries. Now, here's my question to you. And I watched the way you and Yoli covered that, and I was like the same person, with you guys.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish, then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Go ahead.
Law enforcement kicked everything in that room around. They moved things. They shouldn't, before forensics even showed up on the 17th or any of that stuff. They moved things around, like, for weird reasons. They're not even supposed to do that, from my understanding, but okay. To me, it looks like it was done on purpose. It's so uncanny and so coincidental that it's hard to believe it wasn't, but I'll give them that. Did it get kicked into that position conveniently, or did somebody say, was it maybe one of the forensic police officers being goofy, which is not the right place to do it, obviously, but did they make the face with it, or did somebody within the household that was part of the crime do something like this? Is where I'm trying to differentiate it.
I don't know. If you watched Yoli and me, we were looking at it, and I said, "Is it a boot print? No. Is it some kind of a container that was put down? No. Some kind of a bucket that was put down? No. Was it a shoe that was put down? No." I asked her, you girls have, these little paint brushes. That's not what they call them, that they put their makeup on. Did somebody paint it that way? No. Is it random? I said no. I said that I think it was a smiley face that somebody painted there. Oh, my viewers have excoriated me all week. That dropped a week ago, and I'm gonna have to say something in my new weekend episodes this weekend, because my viewers said no, it was curly fries. It was curly fries, but I don't know, Diego. It just seems how can that happen in a random fashion, that the curly fries fall on the floor that way? I mean,
I don't believe
I've eaten my share of French fries in my life, and I've dropped a few on the floor, but they've never fallen on the floor in that pattern. I mean, I don't know. I don't.
For them to fall, Andrew, the nose and the mouth are the curly fries. For them to fall in that position, right in unison with the two blood smears to make that look like eyes or whatever it is, I don't believe that's accidental. I can't. I mean,
I don't either. No, I can't be random. No way. So I don't. So how did it get there? Was it a police investigator, as you said, or was it one of the girls trying to, say it was somebody that looked like one of my commenters said, that looks like Adam. They were trying to tell us. It's like, no, come on now.
That's about too much, I think. Yeah.
And then the other thing is I forget what number it was, but it was the upright I think it was Xana's room, where if you look really close, it looks like somebody was trying to write something. But
yeah,
I have a program where I can, enhance things, not manipulate them, but change the lighting and the color and the hue and the saturation and all that. I couldn't make it say anything. Could you?
No, we tried upwards, backwards, inside out, different filters, different colors, this and that. Now, one of my moderators said because they did state they did this, said that they believe at this point, because of what's in the documents, that they swabbed that. But here's my thing. I watched a lot of like CSI and forensic workers and videos on how they do things. They typically don't do this. They kind of spin the swabs in it to make sure they get a full coating of blood and stuff like that.
Sure.
And there's multiple smears in there. So how many do you need to take a swab of this? It almost looks like somebody tried to write something in it possibly, and then somebody went by and took their finger through it or something through it to ruin what it was saying. Because I've tried it every which way you can. It doesn't. Nothing works out for me.
Okay, so we both did the same thing. One thing I was thinking is maybe somebody just grabbed it to move it, and maybe it's just random fingerprints. I don't know, so I can't make any heads or sense of that. The funny thing about it is I love my viewers. I love my commenters. Comment all you want. Go over to my channel and say, hit me with your best shot. That's fine. But people are really vehement. People are so vehement. It says Adam, and if you don't see that, how did you pass law school? And then other people say, no, it's just random. And if you can't see that, how could you pass law school? That's their favorite thing. But people are on all extremes. People have their thoughts, and they're so dug into and entrenched in their thoughts. It's like, let's have a discussion, because I've admitted many times if I don't know something.
Yes, but, of course. And I think we all say, in our opinion, when we talk about something, this is my opinion. I'm not saying, guys, this is a factual statement. It's just what we think, maybe, or could it be? So believe me, as creators, a lot of us get attacked because we don't agree right off the gate with what somebody says. Well, not all of us are going to have the same thoughts, and not everybody's going to be right or wrong. We don't know what it says. I wish we did. I think we all wanted to know if it says anything at all. If you look at the rest of the photographs at the scene, Andrew, you can tell that there was a lot going on in that room. There were finger drag marks. I did pull up diagrams of blood smears and different spatters and stuff and went through that. And being in EMS, I know certain other things too from my career and stuff, but it looks like there was a lot of wrestling around going on in the room, people being dragged possibly, so it could have just been somebody was trying to grab for this and multiple times tried to grab it and it smeared it all up. We don't know, and then they swabbed it after that.
Especially Xana's room had a lot of activity going on in that room because she obviously fought back. She was described as a scrappy girl, and she would have fought back.
Right.
Say she was a scrappy young woman, but people said that, and there was a lot going on in her room. Also, up on the third floor in Kaylee's room, they took a blood swab from the ceiling. So don't tell me people were sleeping. I mean,
nobody was.
No, I did look at all the photos. I looked at, like I said, I was cheating. I was watching you and taking notes, but I would go home at night. And just go through them. I get up early. Unlike you, I can't stay up all that late, but I get up early. I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. My dog needs to go out and I'm not going to go back to sleep. So I've watched them all. I've looked at all those photos, and people say we should do another episode on it. I don't know. I think we've hit the high points. And I know there's another creator out there who's very good, and she did the same thing. She went through every single photo, but it took her 3 hours. So
it takes forever. Yes, it does. And I tried to do it slowly and detailed with certain ones. That way everybody understands. I try to appeal to everybody here. It's just a lot in some senses. So
yeah, I'm just trying to go back. I'm just trying to go back through and see, which ones I thought were best. And I just over and over and over again, just the amount of blood that was in there.
In Anna's room, and then in my opinion, the lack thereof blood in Maddie's room seems, for what has happened to those two, there seems to be a lack of it in her room, in my opinion. So a lot of people, myself included, wonder if Kaylee was attacked somewhere else and then put there, or somehow was brought back to that room. I know that sounds again conspiracy-like, but it just looking at that room and knowing what was done to Kaylee, I just expected to see so much more in that room going on than there was. And it's a very small room. And it just didn't seem like there was much of anything that went on in that room to me. So I questioned that, to be honest with you.
What, in Kaylee's room?
Maddie's room, where they were both.
Well, yeah, they were together. They were together, right? In Kaylee's room, yeah. Did you see the expert reports that were released somewhat recently? And in the middle of these expert reports is the autopsy summaries. It's not the whole lot. Did you see that? So that expert report was kind of interesting. He said that from the way the blood smear patterns were, they didn't move. Once they were attacked, they did not move. They were just in the bed. That's what that expert opined. But I also saw in that expert report that at one point he talked about the perpetrator, and then there was an S in parentheses. So even the state's own expert was leaving open the possibility that it was more than one person that committed all of these. So I noted that there was some other, I think that's what our next episode is going to be on, is on those expert reports, because a lot of interesting stuff was in there that other people may have looked at, but it was new to me. So I don't know.
Very much so.
My favorite, unless you have another question for me, I'm happy to take all your questions. Whether I can answer them or not is another.
Sure. Question. No. I was gonna ask your opinion on what you thought of if you did see the photographs, and just in general, the thoughts about the knife sheath. The way the photograph shows the knife sheath kind of just sitting there, like conveniently. And of course, before that, we talked about it in other shows and stuff. So yeah, just your thoughts and opinions on the sheath.
Oh my God, where do I even start? That's one of my top 5. That's one of my top 5.
Yes.
Where do I start? Okay, so go back to the probable cause affidavit, where it was written that there was, a teeny tiny little bit of blood on the button snap. Well, no, now we find out that that's not where it was. It was on the
strap.
the leather.
The strap.
It was in the strap. Thank you. So, that's number 1. I'll get to number 2 in a minute, but this is a probable cause affidavit, people. This is very solid fundamental law in the United States of America. The Fourth Amendment. We have a right to be peaceful in our homes and not be subject to unwarranted intrusions. So they write this 18-page probable cause affidavit that has all these mischaracterizations and mistruths. And you say to me, oh, what difference does it make? It makes a big difference, because that's the document upon which they went into Brian Koberger's family's house, blew out the windows, blew out the doors, went in there in the middle of the night and grabbed him and deprived him of his freedom. Now, so they made a mistake? No, I mean, they lied. There were mistruths, and the law enforcement in Idaho should hang their head in shame for all the mistakes that they made there. Whether Brian Koberger did it or not, they deprived him of his freedom on lies. So that's number one. Number two, I just found that really interesting that, in all the blood, and you were just talking yourself about the photographs of the blood in that room, and we've read the reports. The sheet was laying there. It looked like they just got it out of Walmart and it was brand new.
Brand new. Thank you. Yes. And it looks like somebody walked in and went, that looks good. Put it there, and out they go. That's exactly how it looked to me. Yes.
Did they plant evidence? If they were so deceptive and wrong and had intentional misstatements of facts in the probable cause affidavit, I wouldn't put it past them. Do I know that? No, I wasn't there, obviously. But intelligent people are allowed to, draw inferences, and that's one of mine. So
Ann Taylor herself stated when she made the statement that the sheath was placed. She never stated planted, of course. She's not going to as an attorney, but she said it was placed. Well, that doesn't sound like to me that she believes it was left behind, nor does she believe that it was dropped or any of that. It was placed there, tells me something, in my opinion. And that's exactly what I believe when I see it now, especially the way it was sitting there. And it wasn't even where they claimed that it was. Okay. If you go through the reports, if I remember correctly, it was on what would be Maddie's right, under her right thigh, under a blanket. And there's multiple reports that are different statements too, Andrew. It says, I think one of the forensics people pulled a blanket back and, oh, there it was. But that's not how we see it, and I don't understand this. Like, why is this happening? Let me put it that way. I thought
Brett Payne said that, contrary to what you just said, and you're absolutely right, that was in the police report, but I thought Brett Payne said when he opened the door, he could see it on the bed. Which is it?
That's my point. That is my point. Thank you. Yes.
And also, we have all of that body cam footage. Why don't we, they tell me that Brett Payne didn't have a body cam on. A, why? But B, why don't we have body cam footage of the sheath on the bed?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Why? It's not there. How come?
And I'm sorry, but I come from a law enforcement family, just so everybody knows. My father, my uncle, my grandfather were all police officers. I have friends that are police officers. I've worked side by side with police officers. I have a love for police officers. This case, there's so much doubt in my mind and so much questioning that I have. Like, I don't trust them within this case now. I don't know. And it's not a comfortable feeling, Andrew. It's not what I want to feel like, but seeing these things, and then I have to question, okay, this officer was alone in the house for this period of time. This person was over here doing this for this period of time. Could this be the situation that this erupted from, or what? I don't even want to think these things, but I don't seem to have a choice at this point. You know what I mean? It's very, it's very distasteful.
This is why I'm really disappointed that there was no trial, because I think a skillful cross-examiner could have torn the hell out of these police reports and the police officers. Yes. I think that's why Bill Thompson was in such a hurry to resolve the case, because he knew that. He knew that there are so many contradictions in what we do know, and we still don't know it all. The more that comes out, the more questions there are. The more police reports from Moscow and the state and the more photographs that come out, the more inconsistencies there are. And God knows what we'll find, because we're not even halfway there in terms of release of the documents in the court. We're not even halfway there yet.
No. And it's very, good Lord.
See, people want you. People want you. People need you.
My phone is possessed or something. I'll turn it down, and I have telemarketers call me all day long. I don't know why. It's ridiculous, but I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. So I one time I did a calculation, and I promised my viewers I would recalculate, and I haven't done it yet. At one point back in the fall, I calculated that based on the rate that they were going in terms of releasing documents, it would be December 2027 before they release everything. So it's their own fault in Idaho. If they wanted to put the case to bed, they should have sat down. Yes, I know it's a lot of work, but so was the Tennessee Valley Authority, and they did that. It's a lot of work. Sit down in a conference room and don't come out until you go through every single thing and do it and get it out and go, all right, we're done, case closed. No, by trickling it out, bit by bit, bit by bit. They're giving themselves the Chinese water torture. They
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah, it's horrible too. It is. It truly is. I know one of the questions was here. What do you think, in your opinion, if Brian were to file something to do something to change things up? What would be the best option at this point, in your opinion, for him to take? Maybe.
I don't think there's much of anything he can do unless, like I said before, unless there was absolute positive, clear evidence, and I mean like a video, that it was a drug hit and that the local cartel people did it. And we have video of it, or we have Alexa or Siri or a refrigerator talking, documenting it. Unless you had something that clear.
Right. So a habeas corpus or something, or what is it called?
Habeas corpus has to be based on some facts that his civil rights are being violated, and you have to have a basis for that. You can't just pull it out of a book. His rights.
Sure.
No, you've got to have a specific. Habeas corpus is a nice idea, but you've got to have some kinds of grounds for it. And unless you have really solid evidence, ineffective counsel, poetic justice says, I don't know. He had 3 attorneys. He had actually 4, because one of them was kicked off the case. The guy, I forget his name at this moment. And then Bicca Barlow came in. I mean,
Jay Logston.
Yes,
No.
thank you.
Yeah,
Jay Logston. So, yeah, that's something that people always raise. Ineffective.
Do you feel that Brian's rights were violated throughout this?
Yes.
In your opinion?
Yes.
I agree with that. Yeah, most definitely. Post-conviction relief was the other one I was thinking of, due to and here's my question to you. So as far as ineffective counsel goes, can the judge play into counsel being ineffective for the defendant if the judge is not being forthcoming to help? I know this sounds ridiculous. I don't know how to explain this. If the judge is denying everything like he did, can that play into ineffective counsel? This is the reason why she couldn't be effective, is because the judge was not, being.
Well, they're 2 different animals, really. I mean, they're 2 different animals. First of all, judges have absolute immunity in everything they do, unless there's some willful, wanton, almost criminal type of conduct. But the biggest grounds for appeals in any criminal case, and I used to work with some appellate attorneys. I've done appellate work, but I'm not an appellate attorney.
Sure.
But the biggest grounds for appellate relief is errors of rulings, evidentiary rulings. Evidence is let in that shouldn't have been let in. Evidence is not allowed in that should have been let in, or the other way around. Errors of law. The jury was instructed. There was a case in Massachusetts that was tried a couple of times, because the jury instructions were wrong. Either the instruction wasn't based on the law, or there was no evidence to support the jury instruction. So that's usually how you get an appeal, based on the judge's, I don't want to say misconduct, but abuse of discretion, errors of law. That's generally how one is able to appeal a case based on the judicial side of things. It's a totally different animal from ineffective assistance of counsel, sadly. And the reason a lot of people don't want to do criminal law is because, sadly, ineffective assistance of counsel is one of the major grounds for appeals. And it's unfortunate because, and you know this, if you put 5 lawyers in the room and ask them a question, you're going to get 5 different answers. That's just the way we're wired. We all think independently.
Right.
You give us a different set of facts, I'm going to apply it one way, the next guy's. So when we go into a trial, there's a strategy. You've got witnesses, you've got evidence, you've got facts, you've got law. Putting it all together, I don't want to say it's like a puzzle, because you can only put a puzzle together one way, but we all determine our strategy in a different way. And if the strategy works, great. If the strategy doesn't work, now they're going to come back against you for ineffective assistance of counsel, even if everything you did was by the book. So it's a pretty common thing. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like Ann Taylor. I thought she did a good job based on.
I love her. Yeah, I think she did amazing, considering what options she had, and the fact that she was literally shut down through everything she did. I think she did the best she could, in my opinion.
I think so. Yeah.
Let me ask this question too, going along with that. What if I guess it would be the defense, were to bring forth new evidence and be able to prove that they had Brian's cell records or the AT&T data, they based that the prosecution lied, said they didn't have any of that when they actually did. That would be considered new evidence, or would it not be? That's my question I should ask.
If it's substantive, if it's the way that rule is worded, at least in the jurisdictions that I work in, and I would think that Idaho would be pretty much the same. If there's newly discovered evidence which in the exercise of due diligence could not have been discovered at the time of trial, then that's grounds for a new trial. But that goes to whether there was a trial and whether you deserve a new trial. I would imagine in Idaho, if some just absolutely unequivocal exculpatory evidence came forward, like I said before, that it was a drug cartel and we have video of them doing them. Yeah, but unless it's something really clear like that.
Well, the fact that the reason why I'm asking this is because I know, we know, I think all of us know, Ann Taylor brought about Cy Ray, and Cy Ray was on a live video Zoom meeting in the courtroom the day that this was presented and was willing and ready to talk and to explain and show the proof that he had about something, and Hipper shut him down, shut it off.
I remember
that being there in turn, it was never put on record, I would imagine, since he didn't allow him to speak on that. So would that be considered something, one, misconduct of some sort, two, new evidence because he never was able to put what he was going to say on record?
Only if what he had to say was some amazingly, absolutely, positively exculpatory information.
And I kind of wonder if it was because he had proof that there was somebody that Boyd Jackson, I think his name was, that was able to process this, was able to do this, that possibly did do this and hand off this material. And I believe that from what I've understood about this, that they did have those records, and she denied it completely. And in that sense, that seems very I can't even think of the right word I wanted to use at this point. Nefarious, obviously, but what did you think?
Well, again, why did he waive his rights to appeal? I think that was the wrong decision.
I know.
And why didn't he? Why he had 47 or whatever, 41 days to appeal? Why didn't he? If it's such amazing evidence, I mean, I don't know. I really don't.
It's very hard to understand it. Yes.
I don't want to say anything against Cy Ray because I know he has a great history. I know he has a great past. I know he worked for the police authorities more than ever thinking about working for defense. But I mean, why wasn't, I mean, she could have made an offer of proof. I mean, there was the affidavit that he made, but the affidavit wasn't really clear. The affidavit was full of conclusions. Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to get excoriated for saying that, but the Cy Ray affidavit was really full of conclusions and no real facts that came out and said, this is what I see and these are the facts. No, it said, if anybody doesn't agree with me, they're no good. So I don't know.
I understand. Really don't know.
I understand. Unless he absolutely positively can say, I know for a fact that Brian Koberger was at the park looking at the stars, and I know for a fact that Dago was inside of that, or somebody. I don't mean to.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Somebody was inside of that bill. I just don't see it. I don't see it, and I know I'm going to get the raspberries for it, but I'm used to it. I get it on.
Well, no, I mean, I think we all respect you here. Everybody just wants to understand it, and know why. I mean, I think the biggest question is why did Brian do what he did? I think there's a reason. I've always said this, and I trust in that reason. There has to be it, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. It blows my mind because I don't see his guilt anywhere that I look. I don't see how, based on the fact that there's no DNA transfer. There's no this. Nobody's that good. I can't imagine that. Okay. They tore that car apart, down everything, down to almost nothing, and found nothing. His apartment, his house, his parents' house. Oh, there's nothing. How did you do something like this? And by yourself in that period of time? None of it makes sense, Andrew. None of it.
I know. I agree with you. I mean, if you went through my car, you'd probably find French fries that I talk about French fries that I ordered 3 years ago. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Then there's the other school of thought that says, he was a criminology student. He did write that paper. It was only an exercise for a class, but I mean, he he did study all that stuff. I mean, I really
thought
don't know.
about that too. Yeah, I went there too with that, I still can't process, it's hard. There's so much with this that every time they release something new that we say, okay, we're going to go through this now and maybe there's more questions, no answers, more questions. And it's horrible. It's horrible. I just don't know what to think on it. I don't know what to think anymore. I definitely cannot make myself believe that Brian Koberger did this. That's one thing I've tried to do. It doesn't fit for me. My common sense is like, come on, look at it again, make this. It just doesn't fit for me. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. My other question is why? Why would this, if this was a framing, I guess, or a frame job, why? What's the cover up about? What is it that's being hidden? All of those things are the biggest questions that I have with this.
Drugs.
That's what I believe at this point.
That was my theory. Oh, have I been excoriated for saying it from people on both sides of it? But
I know.
That was my initial thought. It's only speculation. It's only my thoughts. It's only my speculation. I don't know, but it was a drug house. To call it a party house is a euphemism for it was a drug house.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Those were the early rumors that came out. I don't know whether they were just not substantiated or people didn't look into it enough, but apparently there had been drugs in that house. The drugs had been dealt in that house. And the residents that were there then had enough. They didn't want that. And they ditched the drugs. They got rid of the drugs and the cartel wanted their money back. I don't know. There's no proof of any of that, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. I really am. That's my story. Everybody has their own theory. I'm with you. The guy pled guilty. So if he's guilty, he's guilty. He deserves the rotten bananas. But I mean, it hasn't been proven to me. I'm in your camp. It hasn't been proven to me. I don't see it. I don't see the evidence. I don't see how one person could do it in that time frame. And the most laughable thing, and I know that you read this one, because the very last Idaho police report, I have it. I have the number of it right here somewhere. But the very last Moscow police report was such a joke. Do you remember this one? 2 of the cops went over to the house and they said, we're going to recreate that timeline and show that he did it really fast. And they went through the house and they counted how many stabs there were. And they claimed in this police report that it could be done in 90 seconds. And then they said, all right, we're going to do it. You remember this one. We're going to do it in a more relaxed time to show, that will be more realistic. And they did it in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And I said to myself, do they expect us to believe that? Yeah, it's true. I was born at night, 2:13 in the morning, but it wasn't last night. So if they're going to be that stupid and make up such a stupid thing that even a 5th grader wouldn't believe, what else have they lied about?
I mean, that's it. The incompetence. And this goes beyond incompetence. This is, I think a lot of us all see, like, why this is purposely being done. You can't be this incompetent. The coincidences can't exist like this. And the mistakes, there's no way in God's green earth that this many mistakes can happen in one specific situation like this. Having these people being commissioned as police officers. No, I'm sorry, but it just, it's all, in my opinion, being done on purpose. And why is the biggest question, 100%. And, there's just so many lies.
Do you think it's relevant and interesting that both Chief Fry and lead investigator Brett Payne have both left that police department? Do you think that's telling that they walked the hell away from that?
Do you know how many people have walked the hell away from that area? Like, there's 2 handfuls of people that have disappeared from Moscow police, and just poof, they're gone. Brett's working for the university. Chief Fry said he's retiring, runs for sheriff and fails, which I knew was going to happen. And now he's a chief in Washington somewhere.
Right. I saw that in the news. Yeah. They walked away because they know that they screwed this case up. They know that they weren't up to it. And they knew that that report, I hate to go back to it, but it was such a joke. It was such a laugh. I said to myself, why would they even do this? Are they so deep into this? I don't want to say lie, but are they so deep into this whole, let's get him. This is the theory. Are they so deep into that they actually thought one person on this God's green earth would believe that? I'm going to ask your viewers right now. I'm going to poach into your territory. Is there one single person watching you right now that believes that report, that it could have been done in 90 seconds or 2 minutes and 40 seconds? Is there one person? I want one person to tell me they believe that report. And do they really think that Did they really think anybody would believe that? You know, the other joke, Chief Fry driving the U-Haul truck up to the place himself. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
The whole
I live
thing.
in a little town. I'm not going to dox anybody or tell anybody. I live in a little town, but even my town has the police have their own vans and pickup trucks.
Yes, they do.
And the chief would have been sitting in his office smoking his cigar, and the other guys, as well, he should have. And the other guys would go out and do all that. I mean, and I live in a small town, and I think even they're bright enough to do it that way. Anyhow,
Agreed. Full-heartedly agreed. Every bit of that is wrong. I mean, they took the mattresses out, Andrew, in the back of a pickup truck. They weren't covered with plastic. They weren't nothing. I mean, in most of us in here, there's a few of us that are law enforcement officers and a couple people that maybe worked in pre-law or something that have common, knowledge of things. But most of us look at this and go, what are you doing? This is very highly unprofessional. They move them in the back of a pickup truck to open air. There's no coverage on them. There's no protection. There's no nothing. And then drive them over and throw them in a garage with a bunch of other stuff. Who does things like this? This makes no sense.
Oh, I'm going to agree with you that I actually have an extended family member that is a very high-ranking police officer, and I have clients who are police officers, and I represent them in various other things because I had a very good accountant at one time who represented the police union, and he would send me clients. So I've had a number of police officers as clients, and some have become friends over the years. So I'm not disparaging cops. I'm disparaging the way this particular investigation was done in this case, in this town, in this state. I'm not painting with a broad brush, and I yell at people that say, "Oh, Massachusetts is corrupt. Look at that Karen Reed case." No, I've had great experiences in Massachusetts. I went to college and law school in Mass. I lived in Mass for a long time. It's a beautiful state. So don't paint the whole state because there are bad cops. And so, yeah, I'm in your camp that I'm all for good professional law enforcement. We need them. But
100%. It'd be chaos.
You see a foul, you have to call it.
Yeah, 100%. What I had another question. I bounced around it twice now. I'm sorry. What are your generalized, I should say, thoughts of the 911 call?
Oh God.
And I'm still here. I have to turn my camera off again. I'm still here with you. My son.
Well, the most obvious thing is, why did it take them 8 hours? If okay, it's a big if, but if for the sake of argument, the crime did occur between 4 and 4:20, more or less. Why did they wait the 8 hours? And then, the 911 call was kind of suspicious. I mean, they're handing the phone around. I don't know. It's just the biggest thing that stands out to me is, why did it take them 8 hours? Yoli pointed out, and I have to give her credit for this because she pulled this, and that is that apparently Idaho, both Idaho, the state, and the state university have this provision whereby if you're in the presence of someone who is in the throes of, an overdose from drugs or alcohol,
right?
You are on drugs or alcohol, you get immunity for prosecution on drugs, alcohol use, or possession by turning them in. And the point of those immunities, both in the university policy and the state statute, which I have on my computer here, is to save lives. If you're doing drugs and you're with somebody that's dying because they took too many and they're overdosing, please call it in and we'll give you immunity from your bad behavior. So, people say that, the reason Dylan and Bethany didn't call was because they were allegedly, potentially using whatever substances they were using, and they were afraid. Well, no, they must have known those policies because they went to that school, and apparently those policies were drilled into them. And I guess the reason that the call was made as an unconscious person is that these policies say that's the way you're supposed to make the call.
Well, part of that, I believe, too, Andrew, is that one of the rules that it's drilled into these fraternity and sorority members is in what I read it from their rule book. Number one was, in the event of a death, do not contact family members or police. Contact your sorority leader, per se, and go from there. So I'm thinking to myself, first off, that's insane to me. But, was this done? And in turn, when that was done, were they told, good Lord have mercy. I'm so sorry. Were they told to do this or that, and then contact police or so on and so forth? Or was there somebody else involved in that, that aspect? And I wondered, like, wow, I'm sorry, but if I was involved in a sorority or a fraternity and that was what they told me to do, I would have to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm calling the police right now. But you got to wonder what the loyalty is to these and what the what would be the repercussions if they did not follow that rule, and if are they scared to death to do that?
I'm surprised that fraternities and sororities are even allowed. I'm surprised they're still allowed. I mean, way back,
I agree.
During World War II, they were a thing. They were a classy thing. It was a status thing. If you made it to a fraternity or a sorority, you were really something, and you wore your pin or your coat. Or it's devolved down to the level of Animal House, and Animal House made them look good. I mean, there've been so many instances of kids dying from over drinking or from the over pledging. Right. I'm surprised that any legitimate university still has fraternities and sororities. That doesn't answer your question. It's a cult. It's a cult. It's really a cult. I mean, if you're in a fraternity or a sorority, you go through these hazing and pledging events, and so now your whole mindset is to the fraternity or the sorority. And so, I think you're right in that these kids may have. They're not kids. They're young adults, may have felt more of an allegiance to, work things through with the sorority or the fraternity. I mean, I don't know. That's my opinion.
I agree with you in a lot of aspects with that, because it's just so, I mean, when listening to the call, which of course we've analyzed multiple times, it's almost like it was, trying to think of the right word to say here, like it was rehearsed, and then they did it. They go through, they do this, they do that, they rehearsed everything, and then they go make the call, and then all these things go into action in that sense. And it was so odd to me. And then again, working side by side with law enforcement, being on different types of scenes, and I even talked to some of the officers that are in here active or retired. The point when they go into the house and they allow a civilian to direct them into the scene, and then he has a knife in his hand at some point. He throws it on the floor, and then he puts it on, Hunter, on the table. One himself, the NYPD officer, and I said this before he even mentioned this, a weapon would have been drawn. He would have been on his knees, hands behind his heads, and he'd have been handcuffed and taken into, at least detained. They didn't even blink at this. It was so weird to me. I've never seen anything like this before. And I don't know. You're
absolutely right about that. And moreover, we have the body cam now of Dylan and Bethany out on the street covering themselves up with the blankets, and the kids all out there listening to them. No, you're absolutely right. Not only would Hunter have been down on the ground, handcuffed, but those kids would have been separated, thrown in separate cruisers, taken down to the police station and interviewed one by one separately, not so they could hear. They're sitting there listening to every word Bethany said. Then they're sitting there listening to everything Dylan said. I think actually the juxtaposition was the other way around. I think
either way,
Dylan spoke first, and then Bethany spoke after that. But the kids are sitting there listening to it. That's your friends and family and my clients and family member know that's not how you do an investigation.
No,
that is not how. And your guy that's in New York and the guy in Baltimore, I've never even talked to them, but I'll tell you that they would tell you that's what happens.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen it myself firsthand. Yeah. I mean, and then they send them all. They put one of who ended up being suspect number one in the back of the police car to hear police chatter on the radio through the whole thing.
Yes.
They have that done. They have them all together listening to each other's stories and let's get our story straight. It could be that and this and that and everything else. And then they send them all to a hotel that night together at the same time. It doesn't make sense. None of it. It's insane.
It wasn't done by the book. It was done far from the book. It really was done way far from the book.
People still had their phones, Andrew, and nobody was swabbed. And every now and again you see them go, let me see your hands. Okay, great. You did that, but what else did you do? You know what I mean? It's insane.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. And it like I said, I can't say, okay, they messed up. No, that's not acceptable. If there was a couple things that were done, that were mistakes, that were mishaps, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. everything within this investigation is almost a farce. It's all relentlessly ridiculous. So
I'm going to go back to something that you said before that just came back up while you're talking about that, and that is that we talked about how when Judge Hippler first came onto the case, and he said, "Oh yeah, don't assume that everything's going to be secret. Don't assume that we're going to be more open in this court." And you said to me a little while ago, did he see something in there that changed his mind? And that's it. That's exactly what it is. He saw stuff. He saw stuff. He saw stuff in those records. And I don't know if you've been following the docket. It's laughable. They're doing motions to strike what's been stricken before, and then they're doing motions to reconsider the reconsideration. It's laughable. This Idaho court is laughable.
he made a statement. He made a statement at one point. I think it was the Cy stuff. And it made me start to wonder then, okay, when he said, and he got kind of angry, you could see it, which is not odd for him, but more than normal. And he was very angry at the Cy situation, so on and so forth. Of course, he called him a conspiracy theorist, blah, blah, blah. But he said, and it's always stuck with me that way about many other things. There's people's jobs on the line here, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So we have to be sure of this, that, and everything else. I gotta wonder again with what you said. There was something I think he saw that he knew was going to blow up, and it could affect him, in my opinion, because he's allowed for a lot of things that he shouldn't have, and he's disallowed a lot of things that he shouldn't have, in my opinion, too. And I wonder, was he worried that this was going to blow back on him, and that's why he did some of the things he did? I don't know, because I'm not in law, stuff like that, how that would work, but I truly have to wonder that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And the other thing is that, so what, people's jobs are at stake. You know what? They can get another job. It's Brian Koberger's constitutional rights that are paramount. And yes, I feel for the 4 victims. I feel for them. So don't tell me that I'm being arrogant and not thinking about the 4 victims, because I'll tell you a little story about that in a minute. But people's jobs, so freaking what, I'll say, because, the judge's number one job is to uphold the 6th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States that guarantees a fair trial and the presumption of innocence all the way through. Don't forget, Brian Koberger was entitled to a presumption of innocence all the way through until the day in July that he pled guilty. And
right.
For the judge to act that way was, I feel for the 4 victims. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, they were, young, vibrant, 3 attractive young women and an attractive young guy that was up and coming and had a planned future. And
right.
I haven't talked too much about this on my channel, but at one point, Steve Gonsalves actually reached out to me. He reached out to me, and I said, wait a minute. This isn't Steve Gonsalves. This is a joke. And he said, no, we'll do a Zoom. So we were on Zoom for an hour. We talked on Zoom for an hour, and I gave him a general idea of confidentiality and all of that. And after the whole thing he actually gave me some information later on down the line that was helpful, but now he goes to the big guys. I'm not the big guy. So in any event, he said, Andrew, just remember this. This isn't some story on YouTube. This isn't just some thing that you can do episodes on and get numbers. These are human beings. This is my daughter. Have you ever dealt with anything like this? And I said, yes, I have. When I was 15 years old, my brother came home in a plastic bag from Vietnam, and he had only been out of high school for less than a year. So yeah, I've dealt with a horrible death. And I'll tell you this, my parents are now no longer with us, but they took it to their graves. You're never gonna get this out of your mind. You have to, I'm not going to tell you to deal with it, because, this is going to be with you for the rest. So we had a heart-to-heart talk. So I have compassion for people like that, having sustained losses in my own. I have compassion for these people. And, that's all. I've not talked with the parents or family members of the other ones. But so, yeah, it does hurt me to know that some young people, lost their lives through this. And at the same time, all the more reason why wouldn't they want justice? Wouldn't they want to know what happened? If there's so many questions in a case surrounding their deaths, wouldn't they want honest, lawful, professional law enforcement to do a much better job? Wouldn't they want that? You know? So,
and that's that. Thank you for saying that, because that is what upsets me, I think, the most with what I do. I discuss it almost on a daily basis with the communities here. Again, as I told you in the beginning, I lost a very, very dear friend of mine at 12 years old to something even more horrible than what these victims went through. And I'm not going to go into details because it's that graphic. Okay. Multiple things were done to him.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old child went through this. Okay. And
Yeah.
this is something that I was traumatized with at 11 years old. And it's there. It's never going to go away. We all know that. I go into the field of EMS and fire, which is even worse. I have PTSD from what I've done now, but it is what I chose. Okay. The point is, we all have compassion for what has happened to them, and they don't see it that way. I'm going to throw this in the garbage today. I'm so sorry. They don't see it that way. They see us as the enemy for some reason. And everybody that's in here, I promise you, I can almost guarantee you, is here for the same reason, and that's to see true justice for these victims and their families. Whether or not everybody in here has gone through a traumatic experience, or it's just because of how they feel, the heart that they have, the feelings in their soul about what we saw, how horrible it was, any of that, okay, and all of that, it's because we want truth. That's it. Because again, not just on the victim side, but even on Brian Koberger's side of things, because in my opinion, I see, no guilt here. I'm sorry that I don't see it the way Steve or Christy or any of them see it, but what I see is a young man that's autistic, that didn't have a chance to be who he should have been, that was attacked, cornered, and put into the situation that he should have never been put into, because I don't believe he could have done this. Okay. I see that they see it differently, and I understand that. I respect that. All I'm trying to do for them, whether they see it that way or not, is to be able to find some kind of justice in this, to see some kind of truth in this, and hope that it does get brought to the table. And if it is Brian that did it, all we've asked any of us is to show that proof so that we know that this is the right person and that your victims do get the true justice for it. And that's all it's all about, Andrew, to all of us, I think.
Yeah, I respect that. I don't know if he did it or didn't. I won't go as far as to say he didn't do it.
Right.
I respect your view, because obviously you've done a lot of research and thought and everything else. I don't know. I really don't know, but I would like to have a more straightforward legal process, a more straightforward law enforcement, a more straightforward court that I could respect. I mean, every court I've ever set foot in my two states, I've respected, but this court, not so much. So I don't know. The other thing, just to diverge just a little bit, one thing that has always really bothered me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've never seen one clip, a video of the Pennsylvania flashbangs going into his house. Why? Are the Pennsylvania, and I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, are the Pennsylvania State Police ashamed of themselves the way they allowed this to go down?
They claim there were no body cams, but I don't believe this. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it either.
I don't. And there was also FBI agents involved in that as well.
Yes.
And I promise you that the FBI did not go into somebody's house that way without a body cam on, at least to protect themselves. Okay. If somebody were to be shot or something were to happen, that has to be recorded, in my opinion, to protect the situation for legal reasons. You know what I mean? I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't either. I think they're so arrogant. I think the FBI and the Pennsylvania State Police are just so arrogant. They're sitting in their offices saying, "You can't handle the truth." Well, dudes, we pay you salary. Yes, we can. Let it go.
And
if you also want your respect, you have to earn it. Don't just put on the uniform and expect it, because you're not earning it.
I agree.
So
yes, sir.
I always wondered, was it that bad? Was it that bad what they did to his house? And I think the answer is yes, but I think we have a right to see it. I think we have a right to see it.
100%. It should have never happened that way. They could have very, very easily made a phone call or even went to his home before he even left to go to Pennsylvania, because they knew, I think, and said, called him. Can you come down so we can talk to you for a few minutes, sir? Maybe do a DNA swab, so on and so forth. I don't even think he would have denied it, to be honest with you, seeing what we've seen of him. But they didn't. They had to put on this big production, this big show, make the world, the start of the propaganda, in my opinion, of course, make the world see this horrible monster and what we had to do to get him into our custody, and then portray this monstrous thing by watching the flight all the way back to Idaho and walking him, on camera in chains and shackles and all that. And then everything they did was all propaganda, in my opinion, to absolutely be sure that the court of public opinion finds him guilty, because in my opinion, they had no case on him. Period.
Yeah, you know what Yoli said to all this. I wish I could claim this thought, but it's Yoli's thought. What she said to all this was, why didn't they do what they did with the Long Island serial killer? They nabbed him in the middle of broad daylight in downtown Manhattan. They just
From a
walked up
pizza
to him and
box, I
arrested
think.
him
Yes.
peacefully in
Yeah.
Manhattan. They Rex Hurberg. They just walked up to him. He worked in Manhattan. Sunny, beautiful, midday. They just walked up to him and arrested him. Why couldn't they have done that? It would have been so easy. The guy
They
apparently
could've.
went out running. He had gone to CVS, the drugstore. You know, why didn't they just walk up to him
They
or
could
run
have.
up to him while he was running and say, "Hey, dude," you know? So
They have, and that's the thing, is they could have. They chose not to because they had to make a production out of it, in my opinion. So
and the sad thing is that when they do that, they don't pay for the repairs.
no, Michael
September.
Koberger's outside sweeping up the next day, and they're filming it, of course, because that's what media does. That's another thing too. And I've been advocating for his family lately, because there's so many people that are attacking them. They have nothing to do with this, but they're attacking them. You know, Brian's father has a heart condition. His mother has been sick. His sister's a lot. You know, they lost their employment. This and that.
That's not
One
right.
sister comes forward, makes a generalized statement, and definitely puts the families of the victims in front of herself and her family, and is still attacked by certain other people that I'm not going to get into right now. It's just shameful to me and disgusting that people don't have the compassion that should be there for things, and they have no compassion for the things that they shouldn't. I guess, or I'm not saying that right, but I think you know what I mean. So
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. You know, yeah, the family members had nothing to do with it. I mean, you know, they had apparently he was no Sunday picnic to grow up with, whether you're the sister or the mother or the father. And you know, they still supported him. They still supported the guy. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely,
The
absolutely.
whole thing, all the way around, there's just so many questions. There's so many questions in this case, and they're not being answered. And so I think more people, I think more people need to keep an eye on it. And by dribbling out these documents the way that the court is in Idaho, and by my calculation, I have to recalculate it, they're not going to be done with it until December 2027. So if you're watching, officials in the courts in Idaho, you brought it on yourself. Now, having said that, I will say that several times I actually talked to the court clerks themselves, and they were always really nice. I actually called the court clerks in Moscow, and I called the court clerks in Boise, because I had just a couple of questions about coverage and how to do it and how I could get documents and things like that. And the court clerks themselves always were so polite to me. They were very, very polite to me, and they answered my questions when they could, or they told me why they couldn't. So I have no beef with the court clerks, as I have no beef with the court clerks that I work with here in Mass and New Hampshire. They've always been really, helpful to me. But it's the policies and the people up top in the administration that are they're asking for it by dribbling out this release of information. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If they really wanted to close the book on this, they would sit down, spend however much time they need to, lock themselves in a conference room, go over it all and say, here, because it's going to overwhelm us all, just like the 2,700 photos that they released or the thousands of pages of police reports. But just do it. Walk away from it. But anyhow.
Good point. That's a great
point.
With you. I want to thank you again. I've had you way longer than I expected to want to have you here. I'm so sorry for that.
It's okay. We both talk a lot.
Yes. And I know I didn't get to a lot of questions for you guys, and I'm sorry about that. I tried to cover the basis of everything. I really appreciate this. I'd love to do this again with you anytime that you're available, or ever want to have me over there by any means. You're always welcome.
We will. We're going to invite you over. Yes.
Please tell Yelly we're sorry we missed her. We appreciate her as well. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, Andrew. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for the invite, Dago. Be well.
You too, my friend. You too.
Okay. Can I ask you one last question?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you one last question. I'm sorry. I know you got to
No, it's fine.
You probably have to take the dog out or something. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
I was raised with a lot of respect for all ethnicities.
Yes.
And I worked at an Italian law firm for a while when I was in law school.
Here it
They were
comes.
all
I know.
Italian, and the customers were great. The clients would bring us in cannolis. I didn't even know what a cannoli was. We
Oh,
ate
yeah.
really well. But like, I always thought that Dago was a derogatory term, and
It
I was
is.
told not to use it. I was told
It is.
don't ever say that. So why do
Everybody
you go by the name of Dago?
Everybody has asked me this question. It's hilarious to me. My nickname all through middle school and high school, the neighborhood I grew up in, was Dago Joe. My name is Joe. My real name is Joe. And it was Dago or Joe. And then it just stuck. And people that knew me, like I told them, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, so on and so forth. And initially, you know, it is derogatory, not so much anymore. There's another term that is way more derogatory than
I think
Dago.
I know it. I think I know it, but I'm not going to say it.
And we don't say that one too often.
Okay, all right. I just thought it was odd because, like I said, I've always been taught to respect
no, and
all
it's
ethnicities.
and I even talk to my cousins and stuff. They're like, if you're calling yourself that, don't you worry about it. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
whatever.
all right, okay, because
So
like
it is
the
what it
Italian firm I worked with, and the clients that just brought us the most beautiful, especially on a Friday. Oh my God, they brought us so much food. So I've always had a lot of respect for Italian people. I used to go to all the restaurants. I don't know if you know Boston, but the North End of Boston is the best Italian restaurants in the world.
I've heard.
None.
I've heard, yes. And cannoli is. I miss my grandmother so much. The cannoli is that are brought out nowadays. They put them in like the local grocery stores and stuff. Unless you can find like a bakery, an authentic bakery, they're nothing like what they used to. And you saying cannoli, just poof. I miss them.
If you're ever in Boston, give me a buzz because I'll take you down to the North End and we'll have some good Italian food and cannoli. They make them. It's Italian. It's the old grandmothers that make it. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I kept you.
No. You're fine. You're fine.
I had to ask that question. I'm sorry.
No. Everybody does. And just so you know, if you ever come to Ohio, there's a place in Cleveland. Okay, I'm just a little bit south of Cleveland. It's called Little Italy. Yeah. There is I can't think of the name of it, but they do the same thing you just said. It's just a tiny little restaurant. There's like 8 tables in it. They make the very best cannolis I've ever had, even beyond my grandmother's. I think they're still there. So if you ever head to that direction, go to Little Italy and you'll find a restaurant. I guarantee you'll love it.
Okay, Joe. I'm going to call you Joe from now.
Sounds great. You can do whatever yes, sir.
Have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a great rest of your day and we'll see you soon.
Too. Okay. See ya.
All right, you guys. Great stuff. Wonderful. Again, thank you, Andrew, for joining us. Always wanted to have him join us here. Much respect for him and nothing but. I watch all of his stuff and I'm telling you guys, just amazing stuff. And again, you guys, and Yoli, of course, I'm sorry we missed Yoli. I wish she could have been here with us, but she's, again, like he said, busy practicing law. And I hope you guys aren't too disappointed. I couldn't get to all the questions. I tried to work some of them together so that it would work out that we didn't have so many of them. But we're going to do it again. There'll be more questions, more conversation, more opinions, theories, whatever we want to call it, guys. So again, I want to thank you guys all so very much for being here, for joining us today. It was absolutely amazing. You guys are amazing, as you all know. Thank you to my moderators again for being here, and my producer, Last 24, my videographer, Molly, the rest of my amazing crew and team here. You guys, I couldn't do this without you. You know that. God bless all of you guys, and don't forget to love yourselves, love each other. I should see you here later on this afternoon or evening. If anybody in here, mod-wise, has a minute, please jump in the back with me if you will. Other than that, God bless. I'll see you soon. And don't change a thing, folks. You guys are the beautiful people. Bye-bye, everyone.
The coffee's cold, the final stain. We laid the map out in the pouring rain. No hidden corners left to creep. The dark truth woke while the city was asleep. The evidence lines up straight and true. perfect picture of what they chose to do. The quiet street erupts in flashing light, a reckoning delivered in the night. SWAT serves the warrant, loud and clear, the sound of justice, the only thing we hear at the True Crime Cafe. We watch the suspect finally pay. The dark truth is backed and signed and sealed. The wound is closed, the name is finally healed. It's finally healed. The cafe's empty,